Chapter 1926. The eyes of the Celestial Palace's master were unusually cold. At this moment, one of the Celestial Palace elders hesitantly said, "Perhaps, this isn't an ordinary trap, Palace Master. The people of beast-taming King's Valley may have the intention to attack us." He said. "What do you mean by that?" The Celestial Palace Master looked at him coldly, his brows tightly knitted together. "The people of beast-taming King's Valley deliberately attacked them." "You mean to say that the people of beast-taming King's Valley deliberately arranged this at the birthday banquet in order to have a reason to attack us of Celestial Palace?" The Celestial Palace Master said, his brows tightly knitted together. "What good would this do them? Beast-taming King's Valley was a first-rate sect among first-rate sects. Even the first-rate sects of the hidden world had to give them some face. After all, the beast-taming ability of beast-taming King's Valley was extremely powerful. Provoking them was equivalent to provoking 2 or even 3 first-rate sections. Under such circumstances, who would go against the people of beast-taming King's Valley? At the same time, why would the people of beast-taming King's Valley go against a third-rate sect for no reason? Even a second-rate sect didn't have the qualifications to be looked at by them. The Celestial Palace Master didn't quite understand the meaning of this Celestial Palace Elder. "It's like this." The Celestial Palace Elder frowned and said, "Palace Master, the token you mentioned, we've found out." As he spoke, he glanced at the Empyrean Palace Master and continued, "If we didn't investigate wrongly, the origin of the token should be from one of the 3 guardians who were ordered to investigate that matter." The moment these words came out, the Celestial Palace Master's expression suddenly froze. "What you're saying is, that's right, Palace Master. We suspect that the 3 protectors have been killed, and the people who did it were from beast-taming King's Valley." The Celestial Palace Elder said worriedly. The 3 protectors were all Saint Kings, and one of them was even a peak Saint King. In the true Spill continent, in such a backward and secular land, how could there possibly be someone who could endanger their safety? The only possibility was that someone from the beast-taming King's Valley had killed them and taken away their tokens. He had deliberately set up a trap during the birthday banquet to make it easier for him to attack the people of Celestial Palace. As for why the other party did this, Palace Master, don't forget what the 3 guardians were investigating. The Celestial Palace Elder reminded him softly. Hearing this, the Celestial Palace Master was shocked. Then, his expression became incomparably ugly. Of course, he wouldn't forget what the 3 protectors were investigating. Before this, Elder Sia had obtained a secret order to bring information about the map to True Spill continent. After that, he mysteriously disappeared. He had sent out 3 core disciples who were slightly stronger to investigate, but those people had been killed by the people of the Breeze Pavilion. Although he didn't know the reason for this, whether it was because of a conflict or something else, he still sent the 3 protectors to follow the people from the Breeze Pavilion to see if they could find any clues. So now, those 3 people had been killed. Not only that, but the things they had were also used by the people from beast-taming King's Valley to slander them. If this was the case, then the purpose of the people from beast-taming King's Valley was obvious. Their goal is the map of the fallen immortal land. And it was possible that they had already succeeded. Thinking of this, the Celestial Palace Master's expression became extremely ugly. Chapter 1927. Bang! Luo Qingtong's figure appeared at the entrance of Celestial Palace. A Celestial Palace disciple stepped forward and was about to speak when Luo Qingtong kicked him. Bang! The Celestial Palace disciple's figure instantly slammed into the door and slid through the entrance. Junior brother. The Celestial Palace disciples near the entrance were instantly enraged and rushed towards Luo Qingtong. Surround her. How dare you cause trouble in Celestial Palace? How dare you? A group of people rushed towards Luo Qingtong aggressively. Seeing the Celestial Palace disciples rushing over, Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows and said, "Tell your palace master to come out." Just say, the disciples of Beast Taming King's Valley are here on orders. As Luo Qingtong's voice rang out, the Celestial Palace disciples rushing towards Luo Qingtong instantly stopped. You're a disciple of Beast Taming King's Valley. The group of people looked at Luo Qingtong in surprise and then asked, what proof do you have? Even if I have proof, do you deserve to see it? Luo Qingtong looked at them with disdain. Tell your palace master to come out himself. Hearing this, the Celestial Palace disciples gritted their teeth but did not dare to delay. They hurriedly sent people to inform the Celestial Palace master and the others. The latter and the others were discussing this matter in the conference hall and were shocked when they heard this. Let's go and see. The Celestial Palace master's expression was very serious. If the people of Beast Taming King's Valley really did get the treasure map, they would definitely attack them in order to keep it a secret. But what if they guessed wrong? The Celestial Palace master felt that before the matter was confirmed, it was better to act prudently. The group of people walked outside. Soon, they appeared in front of Luo Qingtong. Which disciple of Beast Taming King's Valley are you? The Celestial Palace master looked at Luo Qingtong and said. Naithai. Luo Qingtong's lips curled up. The matter of her falling out with the Beast Taming King's Valley hadn't been exposed yet. In the eyes of outsiders, Luo Qingtong was still a disciple of the Beast Taming King's Valley. Moreover, she was a disciple that was highly valued by the Beast Taming King Guguju. Most of the sects in the hidden world knew about what happened at the birthday banquet. It's you. The Celestial Palace master was furious. Luo Qingtong was the one who stood out during the birthday banquet and exposed them for colluding with the Beast Taming King's Valley's apprentice disciple. Although Luo Qingtong was most likely following orders. However, since she was the one who did it, the master of Celestial Palace naturally did not treat her kindly. I don't know what you're here for. He looked coldly at Luo Qingtong. Naturally, I'm here to deliver an order on behalf of our sect. Luo Qingtong's lips curled up slightly. She looked at the Celestial Palace master and the others, then raised her hand and threw a package in her hand over. The Valley Master asked me to come and return this to you. In addition, Luo Qingtong's lips curled up. Our Valley Master said to take care of yourselves. Don't wait for us to make a move. As for what it is. She looked up at the Celestial Palace Master and the others, smiled calmly, and said, I believe that you will understand. After Luo Qingtong finished speaking, the faces of the Celestial Palace Master and the others instantly darkened. Take care of yourselves. Don't wait for them to make a move. Do you understand what I mean? The more they thought about it, the more uncertain it was. At this moment, a Celestial Palace elder saw something. Something rolled out from the package that Luo Qingtong threw out. Chapter 1928. This is, the Celestial Palace elder's expression was extremely ugly, not for anything else, but the things in the package that Luo Qingtong threw out were all left behind by the 3 Celestial Palace protectors. Luo Qingtong had left behind some symbolic things in case of an emergency, but now they came in handy. She brought these things to Celestial Palace in order to thoroughly confirm the conflict between Celestial Palace and Beast Taming King's Valley. Luo Qingtong knew that she and the people of Beast Taming King's Valley had a falling out. They would never believe her previous accusation against Celestial Palace, so they would inevitably continue to look for the culprit. For that superior Sirius flower, if Grand Elder was able to cultivate one, he would be able to cultivate another one. Previously, she used the people of Celestial Palace to divert the attention of the Supreme Elder and the others, making them think that they already knew the culprit and didn't need to continue investigating. But now, her identity had been exposed, so the Supreme Elder might continue to investigate. At that time, the true Spill Continent would be exposed. And Celestial Palace would no longer be threatened by Beast Taming King's Valley, so they wouldn't link the map of the land of the deceased immortals to Beast Taming King's Valley. At that time, if they continued to investigate, they would inevitably find her. How could Luo Qingtong let them do that? Naturally, she wanted to thoroughly confirm the conflict between them, and let them bite each other. Beast Taming King's Valley's route was no longer feasible, so couldn't she go to Celestial Palace? Luo Qingtong's lips curled up slightly. As long as the people of Celestial Palace were sure that the people of Beast Taming King's Valley were going to attack them because of the map of the land of the deceased immortals, it would be useless no matter what the people of Beast Taming King's Valley said. Who asked them to make things difficult for the Celestial Palace after the birthday banquet? When the Celestial Palace retaliated, no one would believe that the Beast Taming King's Valley would reveal that they weren't disciples of the Beast Taming King's Valley and were actually spies. At least, the people of Celestial Palace wouldn't believe it. That was why Luo Qingtong told Yi Qianxian to come to the Celestial Palace as soon as he left the Beast Taming King's Valley. He wanted to deliver a gift to the people of Celestial Palace before that. At the same time, it was to give the Beast Taming King's Valley a gift. Luo Qingtong's smile became more and more enchanting. She looked at the angry faces of the Celestial Palace people in front of her. Suddenly, she leaped into the air and said, "That's all I have to say. You Celestial Palace people can decide for yourselves. However, I advise you to be tactful and end it yourselves. From now on, there will be no more Celestial Palace in the hidden world. Otherwise, when the Beast Taming King's Valley makes a move, you will know what it means to be truly regretful." Luo Qingtong really took the matter of the Beast Taming King's Valley to the extreme. Her words were full of disdain and arrogance. The Celestial Palace Master looked at her incomparably arrogant appearance and then looked at the Celestial Palace Protector's things that she threw on the ground. He was so angry that he clenched his teeth. Bastard! The people of Beast Taming King's Valley are really too much. Not only did he snatch away the secret of the land of the deceased immortals that the Celestial Palace had racked their brains to obtain, but he also deliberately made them the scapegoat during the birthday banquet for the sake of attacking the Celestial Palace's people. That was fine, but now, because of this matter, they actually wanted the people of Celestial Palace to end their own lives. Chapter 1929. This really touched the bottom line of the Celestial Palace Master. Their ancestors had painstakingly established the Supreme Celestial Palace, and with great difficulty, they had managed to develop it into a third-rate sect in the hidden world. The people of Beast Taming King's Valley crippled them, and even wanted them to end their own lives. This was simply intolerable. Moreover, they were the first to discover the map of the fallen immortal land. The people of Beast Taming King's Valley intercepted them halfway, and snatched the map of the fallen immortal land that they wanted. Now, he actually wanted to attack them. Did they really think that the Celestial Palace was easy to bully, and that the people of Beast Taming King's Valley were already invincible in the hidden world? The Celestial Palace Master was so angry that blood rushed to his head. He looked at Luo Qingtong's back as she left, and then coldly said, "You guys look after the sect, I'll immediately go to the Star Alliance Hall." The people of Beast Taming King's Valley didn't let him off easily, and he also didn't let them off easily. If they want to touch the Celestial Palace, then let the people of Beast Taming King's Valley come. At worst, they'll fight to the death. Also, spread the news about this map in the hidden world. The people of Beast Taming King's Valley thought that the people of Celestial Palace didn't dare to resist, and wanted to eat it alone. He'll see if they can eat it in the end. The Celestial Palace Master angrily left. At this time, Luo Qingtong had already returned to Yi Qianxian's side. How was it? She looked at the man standing under the tree with a smile, and said, "I said I'll be back soon, right?" She slightly narrowed her pair of crescent moon-like eyes and looked at Yi Qianxian. "Yes." The man turned around and glanced at her. "You'll be back soon." He stood there, but he heard a lot of movements in the Celestial Palace. This woman's movements weren't small when she went in, but now she came out unscathed. Yi Qianxian looked deeply at Luo Qingtong. What are you doing? Why are you looking at me like that? Luo Qingtong looked into his deep eyes and raised her eyebrows slightly. Could it be that you want me to reward you for being obedient? As she spoke, her gaze swept past him with a snicker, and meaningfully circled around him 2 or 3 times. Finally, she stopped at the man's thin and sexy lips. She licked her lips slightly and thought of the kiss when she left. She still wanted to continue. Yi Qianxian looked at her meaningful gaze, then suddenly strode over to where she was. His long hair fluttered, and his long sleeves danced. He walked up to her and then lowered his head slightly to look at the young girl standing in front of him. In front of him, the latter never knew what restraint and modesty were, however, he liked it very much. If you want to scheme against me, you can tell me directly. You don't have to be so secretive. I'm happy to fulfill your wish. As Yi Qianxian spoke, he lowered his head and kissed Luo Qingtong's lips. The young girl's lips were soft and there seemed to be a fragrance in the kiss, causing Yi Qianxian to be intoxicated. He bent down to kiss her, but Luo Qingtong chuckled and kissed him back. Shouldn't I be the one saying that? If you want a reward, just say it. I won't laugh at you. Ha! Luo Qingtong's laughter was finally swallowed by Yi Qianxian's mouth. The two of them were lovey-dovey under the tree. In the distance, the sun was setting in the west. Everything was beautiful in front of them. Chapter 1930. Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian didn't immediately leave the hidden world. Instead, they settled down in a city on the edge of the hidden world. This city was located in a barren land near the edge of the hidden world. Generally speaking, when one tore through space to reach the true Spill continent, they would pass through there. Beiqing, Windfeather, and the others, when Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian left the beast-taming King Valley, they sensed the changes in the beast-taming King Valley. Following Yi Qianxian's message, they rushed over to join them. At this moment, a group of people were eating in a restaurant, listening to the gossip and whispers of the people around them. Hey, have you guys heard? Something big happened in the center of the hidden world. At the next table, a cultivator said in a low voice. Yeah, we all heard about it. Is it the matter between the beast-taming King Valley and the Celestial Palace? The people next to them all followed and expressed their opinions. Yes, it's that matter. The martial artist said, I heard that it's a big mess. The people of the Celestial Palace said that the people of the beast-taming King Valley deliberately slandered them and wanted to attack them. For this reason, they specially invited the people of the Star Alliance to support them. Yeah. Another martial artist said, I heard that it was because the people of the beast-taming King Valley obtained a map of the Graveyard of Immortals. And the news of this map was obtained by the people of the Celestial Palace first. The people of the beast-taming King Valley forcibly snatched it and killed their people. Finally, they slandered the people of the Celestial Palace for attacking them at the birthday banquet of the Valley Master's daughter. They wanted to harm the beast-taming King Valley. The people of the Celestial Palace were not willing to be slandered, so they went to ask the people of the Star Alliance for help. For this reason, the matter of the map of the Graveyard of Immortals was exposed. But I heard that the people of the beast-taming King Valley refused to admit it. The martial artist said. They didn't just refuse to admit it. Another martial artist said. I heard that they directly announced to the public that night I wasn't a member of the beast-taming King Valley, but a spy from the outside who deliberately attacked them. She's an enemy of the beast-taming King Valley. The martial artist said. He curled his lips. Who are they trying? This move of the beast-taming King Valley is too clumsy. Who doesn't know that Night Eye is the direct disciple of the beast-tamer King Valley's Valley Master? I heard that her talent is beasts. Because he even taught is directly taught, he was directly teach is a's. and spill SSS. F. S. Theys and S. SSS immortals. Thems. Tion. This is so fake. That's right. F. No one believed the words of the people of the beast-taming King Valley. Of all the times to accuse someone of being a spy and an enemy, it had to be when the news of the treasure map was spread by the people of the Celestial Palace. No matter how you looked at it, it looked like they were deliberately trying to deny and distance themselves from the matter. While the group of people were discussing, Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian were eating, but the corners of their lips suddenly curled up. The people of the Celestial Palace and the people of the beast-taming King Valley were indeed arguing. Things were developing exactly as Luo Qingtong expected. Chapter 1931. When the beast-taming King's Valley announced their identity, it would only make people think that they were trying to hide the fact that they had the map of the Graveyard of Immortals. According to the news spread by the Celestial Palace, it was likely that all the first-rate sects had gone to look for the beast-taming King's Valley. It was unknown how badly battered the beast-taming King Guguju and the rest were right now. In fact, the beast-taming King Guguju and the rest were indeed about to go crazy. They had just finished dealing with the aftermath of Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian's departure at the secret location behind the beast-taming King's Valley. Afterwards, they were preparing to issue a warrant to the outside world to track down the whereabouts of Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian. However, before they could do anything, the Celestial Palace had already launched an attack. When they found out that it was because of Luo Qingtong's trip to the Celestial Palace that caused this series of events, they almost fainted from anger. Bitch, this bitch. The beast-taming King Guguju was so angry that he couldn't breathe. Luo Qingtong had ruined the secret location of the beast-taming King's Valley and peeped at their secrets for so many years. Wasn't that enough? She had even made the beast-taming King's Valley carry such a huge pot of blame. The beast-taming King Guguju didn't know that the attack on the Celestial Palace was actually related to the treasure map of the Graveyard of Immortals. If he had known earlier, he would never have let Luo Qingtong go. He would have risked his life to make her stay. After all, there was no need to think about it. The deaths of the Celestial Palace people were definitely caused by Luo Qingtong. The treasure map must have fallen into her hands. However, no one would believe the words of the beast-taming King Guguju. Who would believe it? Your beast-taming King's Valley disciple was highly valued by you before. Oh, in the end, you said that everything was a scheme of hers. Your beast-taming King's Valley, which had always been arrogant and despotic, was fooled by a little girl. Not only did that person make a fool out of you, but he also made you carry a huge black pot on your backs. Hee hee. The crowd of first-rate sects looked at the beast-taming King Guguju and the others as if they were looking at a fool. Otherwise, it would mean that the beast-taming King Valley Master and the others were treating them like fools. The reason why the first-grade sects came was naturally because of the map. They hoped to cooperate with the beast-taming King's Valley. After all, the treasure map of Immortals was pointed to the location of Immortals. They taming King's Valley's Valley Wood to obtain the treasure map, taming King's Valley's Valley Woods Valley's People's Valley to obtain some benefits. When the time comes, to obtain the treasure's Valley of Immortals, the Valley's Valleys sits its to have the best was to have's valleys. Theys to the were to them to be to thems. Was they were beasts to be foes Valley IMS. The group of people immediately flicked their sleeves and left, not saying anything else. In any case, the people from beast-taming King Valley wouldn't go to the fallen immortal land unless they wanted to. Otherwise, wouldn't they be able to follow them? But at that time, they wouldn't be so easy to talk to. The group of people left angrily. The beast-tamer King Guguju was so angry that he trembled. That bitch. He gritted his teeth. Luo Qingtong's actions caused their beast-taming King Valley to offend the majority of the first-grade sects in the hidden world. Chapter 1932. He recalled that the people from the Star Alliance Palace had brought the people from Celestial Palace here. They hoped that the people from beast-taming King's Valley would not attack the people from Celestial Palace. They also wanted him to take out the treasure map and share it with the people from Celestial Palace. The beast-taming King Valley's Valley Master cursed in his heart. Naturally, he knew what the people from the Star Alliance Palace were planning. The land of the deceased immortals rejected outsiders from entering. Even when their aura was weak, it was still not allowed. Once a xenorace expert from the outside entered it, they would be instantly crushed. No one knew the reason for this. The most popular rumor was that all the foreign experts had died in the battle there. If they couldn't obtain the treasure, they wouldn't allow other foreign powerhouses to obtain it. That was why foreign powerhouses were killed as soon as they entered. Not only that, but powerhouses above the Paragon realm were also not allowed to enter. Therefore, even powerhouses that left the true Spill continent were not allowed to re-enter. The people from the Star Alliance Palace had always been curious about what kind of treasure was in there. But because they couldn't enter, they gave up. The people from Celestial Palace came to find them. They must have promised to give them the treasure. Therefore, the people from the Star Alliance Palace helped the people from Celestial Palace and came to find him to negotiate. But beast-taming King Guguju didn't have the treasure map to the land of the deceased immortals. Even the existence of the treasure map was only known to him after the people from Celestial Palace spread the news. At that time, he was so angry that he almost fainted. With such a big black pot on his back, how could he explain to the people from the Star Alliance Palace that he really didn't know about the treasure map to the land of the deceased immortals? Beast-taming King Guguju trembled in anger as he thought of the expression on the face of the messenger from the Star Alliance Palace. But there was no way to save him. Unless he agreed to cooperate with the people from Celestial Palace and took out the treasure map. But the treasure map wasn't in his hands. Take what? The beast-tamer King Guguju was so angry that he trembled as if he had Parkinson's disease. This was a dead knot. It was all that bitch Night Eye's trap. Once he caught her, he would definitely make her die a horrible death. While beast-tamer King Guguju was gnashing his teeth in anger, Luo Qingtong got the answer she wanted and immediately left the hidden world. Instead, he returned to True Spill Continent with Yi Qianxian. Schwa. True Spill Continent, Southern Domain. Luo Qingtong's figure skimmed among them. Yi Qianxian and the others returned to the Black Field to settle some matters. She went to the southern region alone. After all, Suyu and the others were still hunting the monsters at the bottom of the cliff. I wonder how much their strength has improved. But according to Luo Qingtong's estimation, most of the monsters at the bottom of the cliff should have been killed by them. When Luo Qingtong returned, she could refine the remaining immortal jade bones for them. At that time, their strength would be able to rise to another level. Luo Qingtong's lips suddenly curled up as she thought of this. At this moment, Southern Domain, in the space at the bottom of the cliff. Suyu and the others went deep into the space at the bottom of the cliff. They were very close to the place where Yi Qianxian had closed the passage. Moreover, the demon beasts that remained here were even stronger. Peng peng peng. Chapter 1933. With the increase in their strength, they were no longer limited to hunting ordinary monsters. The monsters they were hunting were all at the Saint Lord realm. It was the same as the Saint Lord realm monster that Luo Qingtong had killed before. This Saint Lord realm monster was also formed from the fusion of many monsters. It was powerful, its skin was as hard as iron, and its body was extremely huge. It was extremely fast, and it was unknown what kind of monster it had fused with. It was like a sky full of whip shadows that swept towards Suyu, Su Xiaoxiao, and the others. The power of each attack was comparable to the full-strength attack of an ordinary Saint Lord Realm expert. Su Yu, Su Xiao, and the others, as well as Tian Xie's group, were very calm as they dealt with it. After working together for a long time, their movements seemed to be very coordinated. First column. Raise your spears. Second column, get ready. Su Yu's voice rang out in an orderly manner. At the same time, she didn't stop attacking. The thunder beast beside her roared as it charged towards the mountain-like monster in front of it. The powerful impact and explosive force, as well as the power of lightning surrounding it, allowed it to firmly withstand the Saint Lord Realm monster's attack. It didn't give the monster a chance to crush Su Yu, Tian Xie, and the others' formation. Behind the Saint Lord Realm monster, little Tyrant Yuan's muscles were bulging. His skin instantly turned into a cold and hard golden color, and he firmly cooperated with the Thunder Beast from behind to block the Saint Lord Realm monster's body. They trapped the monster between them, making it easier for Su Yu and the others to attack. Bang bang bang. The blood vessels all over little Tyrant Yuan's body exploded one by one. His current strength had already reached the Saint Expert level. Under the power of the Soul Seal, his defense and attack power could reach the level of a beginner Saint Lord. However, compared to this Saint Lord Realm monster, his strength was still a bit lacking. Fortunately, he wasn't fighting alone. Swish! Swish! In the front, Su Xiao and the others formed a small team. Su Xiao's expression was solemn as her fingers danced. Streaks of light from the medicinal liquid were drawn out by her, forming streaks of half-black and half-white light in the air. Half of it was holy medicine, and the other half was poison. Medicine and poison in one. Su Xiao's alchemy skills had been refined by her for a long time. Coupled with her own strange alchemy talent, she had achieved a divine alchemy skill that ordinary people could not achieve. Shwa! With a point of Su Xiao's finger, the black and white liquid turned into gas and entered Yuan Little Overlord, the Thunder Beast, and the Saint Lord monster's body. When these medicinal liquids entered the bodies of Yuan Little Overlord and the Thunder Beast, they turned into good medicine that could heal and enhance their strength. When they entered the Saint Lord Realm monster's body, they turned into streams of corrosive liquid that rampaged through the monster's body. This caused the Saint Lord Realm monster to let out a sharp cry of extreme pain, and its body became even more violent. Sima Ju, Ling Tianhan, Ling Yu, and the others were wandering around it at this time. Bind! The purple silk in Ling Yu's hand instantly bound the Saint Lord Realm monster, while Ling Tianhan, Sima Ju, and the others rushed up at this time. Chapter 1934. At the same time, the heavenly diabolism also attacked. Boom boom boom. One attack after another landed on the Saint Marquis monster. Because of the suppression from the Lightning Beast and Yuan Little Tyrant, every attack landed on the monster's vitals. Roar! The Saint Overlord struggled violently and broke free from the pincer attack of the Lightning Beast and Yuan Little Overlord. Bang! The Lightning Beast and Yuan Little Tyrant were sent flying by the Saint Lord monster's violent struggle. The man and beast fell heavily to the ground. At this moment, Su Yu moved. Lightning strike. Su Yu's body was surrounded by an extremely powerful and terrible power of thunder and lightning. She suddenly raised her hand. In an instant, a huge sword formed by lightning, together with the attacks of Tian Xie and the others, slammed into the Saint Marquis monster, causing it to howl and retreat. Roar! The Saint Marquis monster struggled in its death throes. Its countless tails retracted and stabbed towards Su Yu viciously. At this moment, the sound of a zither rang out. Mountains have trees and trees have branches. My heart pleases my lord, but he does not know. The melancholy song mixed with the sound of the zither and waves of sound waves spread out. Images of green bamboos, trees, and blooming peach blossoms appeared in midair. Then, bang! All of a sudden, the images exploded. The green bamboos, trees, and peach blossoms all turned into murderous intents that rushed toward the Saint Marquis monster. Su Xiao, Su Yu, Ling Tianhan, Sima Ju, and the Heavenly Diabolism group also attacked at this moment. Boom boom boom. The Saint Lord monster was completely engulfed by the barrage of attacks. In an instant, a shrill and mournful voice rang out. The Saint Lord monster fell to the ground and didn't get up again. Done. Ling Yu jumped onto the Saint Overlord monster and dug out the huge Saint Overlord immortal jade bone from its broken flesh. Wow! It's so big. It's enough for us to split. She cried out. The immortal jade bone clearly hadn't been completely merged. It was like a huge rock and was as big as 10 of Ling Yu's heads. Although it wasn't as pure and powerful as the immortal jade bone Luo Qingtong had, it was huge. Who knew how many monsters this Saint Lord monster had devoured to form this immortal jade bone? The Heavenly Diabolism group was very happy to see this immortal jade bone. Even if they could only get a small piece of this immortal jade bone, it was enough to raise their strength to another level. Of course, they had to wait for Luo Qingtong to refine it. Sigh, the monsters at the bottom of the cliff should have been cleared. This is most likely the last one. I wonder when boss will come back. Ling Yu said in a bored tone. Next to her, little tyrant Yuan got up while vomiting blood. Then, he said to her speechlessly, "My lady, you can talk and jump, but can you not keep stepping on me? I'm seriously injured." He was already injured to this extent. Couldn't this woman be more careful? Chapter 1935. If it weren't for little tyrant Yuan's own vitality and the petrification soul imprint not being completely removed, his injuries would have definitely worsened. At that time, he might not have died at the hands of this Saint Lord Realm monster, but at her feet. Cough. Sorry, I didn't see. Ling Yu stuck out her tongue, only to find that little tyrant Yuan was pressed down not far from the Saint Lord Realm monster. She really didn't notice him down there. Little tyrant Yuan was silently swallowing his tears, feeling that his presence was unusually low. A low laugh instantly sounded from a place not far away. Then, Luo Qingtong's figure walked out of the thick black fog at the bottom of the cliff. Boss, Master. Seeing Luo Qingtong's figure, little tyrant Yuan and the others instantly called out. Then, the group of people all surrounded Luo Qingtong in surprise. Boss, you're back. Little tyrant Yuan was jolted, and there was no trace of the serious injuries he said before. He rushed to Luo Qingtong and asked eagerly, "Boss, how was it? Was the hidden world fun? Did anyone bully you?" When he said this, his eyes were shining. Luo Qingtong was very suspicious. He actually wanted to ask if anyone bullied her, and then was tortured by her to the point of doubting life. The corner of her mouth twitched slightly. She didn't know if it was lucky or unlucky to have such a subordinate. These people were too eager to see the world in chaos, weren't they? It was fine. The corner of Luo Qingtong's mouth twitched. She didn't tell them that she had already gone against the number one sect in the hidden world, Beast Taming King Valley, and messed up their nest. In the end, she even schemed against them. She didn't know how the people from Beast Taming King Valley would go crazy. She looked at Su Yu and the others. "How's your strength?" Her eyes swept over Su Yu, Su Xiao, and the others. When the latter and the others saw her gaze sweep over, they instantly straightened their backs and released their auras. Let Luo Qingtong examine their strength. After Luo Qingtong left, they had been desperately trying to improve their strength. After absorbing the purified immortal jade bones, they began to temper their combat abilities. In front of Luo Qingtong, he was very confident. "Boss. I'm already a mid-level saint expert. Yuan Little Tyrant raised his head proudly. Meanwhile, behind him, Sima Ju opened his mouth and spat out a few words, Peak Sacred Expert Realm. High-level Saint Master, Ling Tianhan said. Mid-level Sacred Expert Realm. Ling Yu said with a smile. Boss, am I especially powerful? Chu Wenhao, Ling Tianqin, and the others also reported their strength. Meanwhile, Su Xiaoxiao's face was a bit embarrassed, saying with a bit of embarrassment, just entered the Sacred Expert Realm. In the team, her strength was the weakest. Su Xiaoxiao felt like she was about to cry. Su Yu and the others didn't say anything. There were too many people on their side. If all of them spoke, it would be very messy. It was better to let the master see it herself. Luo Qingtong's gaze swept over them and found that most of their strength was around the high-level Saint Realm. There were only a few low-level Saint Realm experts. Immediately, they were very satisfied. The people of Heavenly Diabolism's hunting speed wasn't as fast as Su Xiaoxiao's team, so they got more immortal jade bones. With their current strength, it was already very good. Su Yu's strength was the strongest. Chapter 1936. Because of this, she also received more immortal jade bones, and her strength naturally increased faster than others. Her current strength was already very close to the level of Saint General. Very good. Luo Qingtong looked at them and slightly curled her lips. Su Yu and the others did not disappoint her. Their current strength was already very good. There was still a period of time left, enough for their strength to increase a little more. At that time, they would be able to go with her to the land of the fallen immortals in the hidden world. Hee hee. Little Tyrant Yuan laughed proudly. Of course, don't you see who we are under? He raised his hand and patted his chest hard. He instantly patted his wound and couldn't help but cough violently. Sima Ju and the others looked at him speechlessly. This guy was really too good at flattering, right? Could it be that his usual recklessness and thoughtlessness were all an act? Damn, he was too sinister. Luo Qingtong looked at him with a smile that was not a smile. Take this. She threw a pill to Little Tyrant Yuan. The other party was injured by that Saint Lord Realm monster. Ordinary medicinal liquid could temporarily heal it, but it could not cure the root of the problem. The internal injury was still there, and it would definitely become a hidden danger to the body in the future. He had to take the pill. This was also the reason why alchemists were so sought after. After reaching a certain level, the medicinal liquid would not be of much use. Luo Qingtong also threw one to Su Yu and let her feed it to the Thunder Beast. The latter had already shrunk in size and was held in Su Yu's arms. At this moment, it was looking at Luo Qingtong with a pair of big eyes. Its nose was constantly twitching, and it was unknown what it was sniffing. It looked at Luo Qingtong with a puzzled gaze. Its nose is quite sharp. Luo Qingtong knew that it most likely smelled the fragrance of the superior Sirius flower that it had come into contact with before. It seemed that not only the superior Sirius flower could sense the Thunder Beast, but the Thunder Beast that was trapped by the purple jade mind fruit could also sense the superior Sirius flower. Fortunately, she was the one who destroyed the superior Sirius. Otherwise, if the people from the beast-taming King's Valley were to find this place, the lightning beast would probably come looking for it after smelling the fragrance. At that time, Su Yu and the others would definitely be exposed. The deaths of Han Dong and the others could no longer be hidden. Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows. At this moment, a voice sounded. Master. One of them appeared in front of Luo Qingtong, holding a zither. Luo Qingtong's eyes lit up when she saw her. Yen Yang, your strength. The person who appeared in front of Luo Qingtong was surprisingly Hu Yinyang. Her current strength had already surpassed the Saint Realm. Although he was much weaker than Su Yu and the others. However, when he thought about how she had only started to recover not long ago and was able to cultivate, he thought about it. Her strength had improved at a godly speed. Of course, this was also because of the wood spirit heart that Luo Qingtong had left for her. Otherwise, Yin Yang's strength would not have been able to rise to such a high level. Even if she had the foundation of cultivation from more than 10 years ago, it was still the same. Yes, my strength has already surpassed the saint realm. Hu Yinyang smiled at Luo Qingtong as she hugged her zither. Not only that, because her soul imprint was special, she had awakened a sound wave soul imprint. Hu Yinyang's control of sound waves had greatly increased, and she had already become a soul sound master. All the sounds in the world, including the zither and her own voice. She could stack attacks in her hands. Chapter 1937. When they killed the Saint Lord monster, it was Hu Yinyang who used the sound wave technique to confuse the Saint Lord monster. Then, they joined forces with Su Yu and the others to kill it. Otherwise, the Saint Lord monster would have struggled for a long time. During this time, it was likely to cause casualties to the heavenly diabolism. Ha! Luo Qingtong looked at her and laughed, asking, "How is it? Do you feel strong?" "Very good." Hu Yinyang's lips curved up. She stroked the zither in her hand and slightly squeezed it. Before she met Luo Qingtong, no, it should be said that before Luo Qingtong helped her recuperate, she never thought that she would be able to cultivate one day. Moreover, she had awakened such a powerful sound wave spirit seal. All her glory and strength belonged to her master. With strength, it meant that if she met the man who took Feng away in the future, she would be able to find a way to take him back. Her son was brought up by her single-handedly. Even if he was that man's son, with his blood flowing in his body, he was still Yin Yang's son. No one could snatch him away from her. "Master, thank you." She bowed deeply to Luo Qingtong. "Don't say this." Luo Qingtong smiled and said, "Just take care of some things for me in the future." Luo Qingtong looked at Hu Yinyang and was very happy in her heart. Hu Yinyang's strength increasing was also something she had always hoped for. After all, the people around her were not material to be in charge of forces. The only one who could manage forces for her and not let her worry was Hu Yinyang. But she could not stay in the true Spill continent forever. She had to go to the outer realms. This had nothing to do with Yi Qianqian's identity or the disappearance of the original owner's parents. But Luo Qingtong herself was not willing to stay in a corner. She wanted to go out and see more people, and live a more exciting life. Then, Yin Yang and the others must follow her footsteps. Before this, Luo Qingtong had been quite worried. If Yin Yang couldn't cultivate, then how would she leave True Spill continent with her? If he left her in the True Spill continent, that would be far too much of a waste. What a waste of her excellent management skills. Now, everything has been settled. Not only was Yin Yang not weak, she was also a rare soul sound master. Even among soul masters, they were extremely powerful. Luo Qingtong's worries disappeared. In the future, he could bring her with him to the outer realms. Hu Yinyang smiled and nodded at Luo Qingtong. That's what Yin Yang should do. Luo Qingtong saved her life, helped her family, and helped her recover her identity as a cultivator. No matter how strong Hu Yinyang would become in the future, she would only be Luo Qingtong's #1 housekeeper. Heavenly Diabolism Steward Yen. Luo Qingtong's expression was indifferent. She nodded at them and said, "All right, all of you return to Imperial City. I will purify the remaining immortal jade bones for you. Continue to improve your strength. After a while, the aura of the fallen immortal land will weaken. I will take you there to train and level up. In the future, you will leave True Spill continent with me and go to the outer realms." Luo Qingtong's voice sounded. Instantly, Yuan Little Overlord and the others responded in unison. Yes. Master, boss. Everyone's voices were very loud. Then, they rushed towards Imperial City with expectant faces. Chapter 1938. Yu Si Huang was looking at a certain man in front of him. The veins on his forehead were popping out. You damn transvestite, that's enough. Imperial Emperor Sect Master, how can you say that about this servant? It's really too sad. Opposite Yu Si Huang, Zhuo Fei was wearing a red muslin robe. His face had a charming and enchanting expression. That gorgeous face was even more enchanting than Yu Si Huang. At this moment, he was waving the feather fan in his hand. On the other hand, he raised his orchid finger and instructed the people around him. Remember, Imperial Emperor Sect Master insulted this servant today. You're forbidden from approaching the demonic doctor for a day. Fuck. The veins on Yu Si Huang's forehead popped out. I'm telling you, you damn transvestite, don't go too far. So what if I insulted you? Why should I be recorded once? Yu Si Huang's entire person was about to explode. When Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian left, he was in seclusion and didn't know. When he came out of seclusion, Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian had already left. Zhuo Fei was sent over from the Black Field to look after Su Yu and the others. This was to prevent another attack from the Breeze Pavilion. At first, Yu Si Huang didn't feel anything. Later, he realized something was wrong. This damn transvestite followed him 24 hours a day. Every day, he scolded Yi Qianxian several times and mentioned Tong Tong several times. He remembered it all clearly. He even had someone make a small book. He said that he would wait for Yi Qianxian to come back and show it to him. At that time, every time he was recorded, he wouldn't be able to get close to Luo Qingtong for a day. Yu Si Huang's mood after knowing this could only be described as, I don't know if I should say MMP in my heart. This damn transvestite. Yu Si Huang seriously suspected that he was deliberately left behind by Yi Qianxian to disgust him. At the same time, he stopped him from getting close to Luo Qingtong. That bastard was so sinister and cunning. He was really too hateful. Yu Si Huang glared at Zhuo Fei. The latter gently waved the feather fan in her hand and looked at him with a pair of charming eyes. She said in an indescribably charming and enchanting manner, who asked this servant to be master's woman. As the saying goes, if the Lord is humiliated, the subject shall die. If the subject is humiliated, the master shall be punished. Imperial Emperor Sect Leader, you insulted this servant, so naturally, you are scolding your master. What's wrong with me counting you once? As he spoke, he lifted his fan to cover his lips and chuckled. After all, who asked you to owe my master a favor? Don't you agree? Bei Qing and Feng Yu, those two pigs. Zhuo Fei snorted inwardly. His master had such a big love rival, yet he didn't even know how to help him settle it. What the hell was he doing? As expected, he still had to make a move. Otherwise, what if the evil doctor was bewitched and left? One had to know that it was rare for master to be tempted. It was possible that this would be the only time. He naturally had to protect the mistress on behalf of his master and prevent anyone from touching her. Zhuo Fei's words angered Yu Si Huang. According to what he said, wouldn't he never be able to get close to Luo Qingtong in this lifetime? This bastard was too much. Yu Si Huang was so angry that he wanted to hit someone. At this moment, the sound of an Imperial Emperor Sect disciple rushing in to report suddenly came from outside. Sect leader, the evil doctor and the others are back. Following this sound, Yu Si Huang's figure instantly disappeared in midair. Tong Tong. Imperial Emperor City, the place where Su Yu and the others were temporarily staying. Chapter 1939. Yu Si Huang. Luo Qingtong looked at him and smiled. At this moment, Zhuo Fei's figure appeared behind Yu Huang. Mistress. He bowed respectfully to Luo Qingtong. That coquettish and flirtatious smile on her face had already disappeared. For Zhuo Fei, Luo Qingtong was Yi Qianqian's personal choice of mistress. She deserved his respect. Naturally, he would not use the mask he used in front of outsiders to fool her. Yes. Luo Qingtong looked at him and nodded. Then, she asked in surprise, "You're Qinren's man?" Luo Qingtong had never seen Zhuo Fei by Yi Qianqian's side. Under normal circumstances, Bei Qing and Feng Yu would be by Yi Qianqian's side. I'm in charge of intelligence by Master's side. Seeing Luo Qingtong's doubts, Zhuo Fei explained. Hearing this, Luo Qingtong understood at once. It was most likely because Bei Qing and Feng Yu had gone to the hidden world with her and the others. Therefore, Yi Qianxian had transferred people from the Black Field. He was afraid that the Breeze Pavilion's attack would happen again. Luo Qingtong's heart was very warm towards this man's thoughtfulness. Yi Qianxian had not told her about this matter, but he had done everything for her. That man, he just refused to say anything nice. Stubborn duck. Thinking of Yi Qianqian's arrogance, Luo Qingtong's lips curled up. Yu Huang, who was beside them, saw Zhuo Fei's change and exploded. This damn transvestite, he had disgusted him for so long. Was it all an act? He looked at Zhuo Fei, who was more serious than anyone else, and the veins on his forehead popped. He grabbed Luo Qingtong and asked, "Tong. Qingtong, where's Yi Qianxian?" Yu Huang felt that he needed to get back his face. Wasn't it just owing her a favor? That bastard almost crushed him to death. No, I have to settle this as soon as possible. Yu Huang had no doubt that once Zhuo Fei's booklet reached Yi Qianqian's side, that man would definitely follow the instructions written on it. That damn transvestite had recently recorded over 100 messages from him. Would he still want to get close to Luo Qingtong in the future? How could they bully people like that? Where is he? I want to compete with him. If I win, the favor will be written off. Pooh. Yu Huang's words haven't finished. Luo Qingtong couldn't stand still, she almost choked on her own saliva. She looked strangely at the angry Yu Huang in front of her. She didn't know what had provoked him. Looking for Yi Qianren to compete. Wasn't he looking for a beating? Luo Qingtong's lips twitched. She looked at Yu Huang's cultivation. Only then did she discover that his strength had increased, it was actually above her. His strength was already in the Saint Emperor realm. No wonder he was so confident. Luo Qingtong's heart was shocked. She knew that Yu Huang's previous strength was much stronger than hers. When they were in the Saint King's tomb in the western wilderness, Yu Huang's strength was most likely in the Saint Master realm. That's why he could barely resist the attack of those blood-colored demonic vines. After that, he used a forbidden technique to erupt his strength, and was able to stop Feng Wan and the others. But even if that was the case, wasn't his strength rising too quickly? Chapter 1940. She didn't expect Yu Huang's strength to increase faster than her. The other party's physique was really not ordinary. Was it because his heart disease was cured? Luo Qingtong had heard Yu Huang mention before that all these years, because of his heart disease, he had been unable to smoothly increase his strength and use it. However, even so, Yu Huang still managed to develop the imperial sect to its current state and even became the king of the southern region. Now that Luo Qingtong had cured his heart disease, his strength had increased by leaps and bounds. If Luo Qingtong didn't guess wrongly, Yu Huang's background was probably not ordinary. She didn't know if the imperial sect master and his wife adopted him that year, was it a coincidence or something else, but even so, Yu Huang couldn't possibly beat Yi Qianxian. Luo Qingtong's lips twitched. She tactfully persuaded Yu Sihuang, cough, there's no need, right? You just increased your strength not long ago, you should stabilize it. Before she could finish her words, she was interrupted by Yu Sihuang's surging passion. No need. I've already consolidated it very well. Where's that bastard? Luo Qingtong didn't know that Yu Sihuang was angered by Zhuo Fei during this period of time. He couldn't wait a moment longer. Luo Qingtong's lips twitched. Are you sure you want to compete with him? She tried her best. Yu Sihuang, I can't save you. Yu Sihuang's voice was impassioned. Definitely. He was still confident in his own strength. The strength of a Saint Emperor was not entirely dependent on the strength of the immortal jade bones. After all, the strongest immortal jade bone in this southern region space was only at the Saint Marquis realm, and it was given to him by Luo Qingtong. If Yu Sihuang relied on the immortal jade bones, it was impossible for him to reach the Saint Emperor realm. He relied on the inexplicable power in his heart to reach the Saint Emperor realm. Yu Sihuang didn't know what was going on. Ever since his heart disease was cured, a strange power kept gushing out from his heart. Yu Sihuang followed the flow of the strange energy in his body, and easily broke through the barrier in his body. It was as if this power was helping him improve. Yu Sihuang also did not know what these powers were. However, he knew that they existed in his heart. And his previous heart disease was very likely caused by someone from the very beginning. In short, under the influence of this power, Yu Sihuang's strength increased very quickly. With such an increase in strength, he felt that he was fully capable of fighting Yi Qianxian. First, I have to return the favor I owe that bastard. MMP. Yu Sihuang was so confident that Luo Qingtong couldn't stop him. Even if someone tried to stop him, he wouldn't believe it. He thought she was defending Yi Qianxian. Luo Qingtong's lips twitched violently. In the end, she had no choice but to tell him, Qian Ren has returned to the Black Field. Hearing this, Yu Sihuang's figure disappeared in an instant. Luo Qingtong looked at his disappearing figure. She really couldn't bear to look. She hoped that he wouldn't come back after being tortured to the point of doubting his life. Although this was very likely to be the reality. Cough. When your brother comes back, you have to properly comfort him. Luo Qingtong's lips twitched as she looked at Yu Xingqi, who was beside her. The latter hugged the little white cat in her arms and blinked her eyes. Then she decisively shook her head. No. She said seriously, I'm afraid that if I comfort him, he will want to beat me to death. Chapter 1941. Luo Qingtong thought of the way this brother and sister always got along and suddenly felt speechless. Forget it, let Yu Sihuang fend for himself. Abuse is good for physical and mental health. Luo Qingtong could only comfort herself like this. Anyway, Yi Qianxian wouldn't be too harsh on Yu Sihuang, so Luo Qingtong was relieved. After Zhuo Fei heard that Yi Qianxian had returned to the Black Field, he also bowed to Luo Qingtong and left. He still had something to report to Yi Qianxian. Moreover, Luo Qingtong had also returned, so there was no need for him to continue to look after here. Luo Qingtong nodded to him, thanked him and sent him away. After a period of time, Luo Qingtong purified the power of the remaining immortal jade bones for Su Yu and the others. Old Master Luo and Empress Dowager Yan Shi had already returned to Great Chu. The foundation of the Luo family's disciples was a little weak, so they couldn't hunt those monsters later. Old Master Luo didn't want them to take advantage of the people of heavenly diabolism, so he and Empress Dowager Yan Shi took them away. Luo Qingtong returned to Great Chu and saw Old Master Luo and Empress Dowager Yan Shi. After letting them know that she was fine, she went into seclusion with Su Yu and the others in Imperial City. She had obtained a Saint King Realm immortal jade bone from the Pavilion Master of the Breeze Pavilion before, but because she wanted to go to the beast-taming King Valley to find the whereabouts of her father, she hadn't used it yet. Now, there was still some time before the land of the deceased immortals opened, so she just took it. In this way, when going to the land of the deceased immortals, she would be more confident. There was also the ancient heavenly spiritual wood in Luo Qingtong's hands. Now, after absorbing the power of the immortal jade bones that Su Yu and the others hunted, the number of leaves it grew had reached 10. Luo Qingtong decided to take a leaf and eat it, so that she would have an extra soul seal. In this way, she would be able to unleash even more battle prowess. Luo Qingtong's lips curled up slightly. After purifying the power of the immortal jade bones obtained by Su Yu and the others, she began her closed-door cultivation. Her figure flashed as she entered the bottom of the pagoda. Little Pig was still sleeping in the middle of the first floor of the pagoda. Beside it, the little golden mouse was jumping around. After seeing Luo Qingtong come in, she immediately jumped towards her with a happy face. Creak creak. Big treasure, big treasure. It used its short claws to grab Luo Qingtong's trousers and hung on her calf. From the looks of it, it was as if he was trying to curry favor with someone powerful. Luo Qingtong smiled at its actions and picked it up. The little golden mouse was quick-witted. After being picked up by Luo Qingtong, it ran to her shoulder and squatted there. It hugged a strand of Luo Qingtong's hair and rubbed against it. If one were to say that it was wretched, then it was quite cute. If one were to say that it was cute, then one couldn't bear to look at it directly. Luo Qingtong's lips twitched as she looked at it. She didn't know if Hing Ji, this unreliable fellow, had led it astray. She crouched down and looked at Little Pig, who was snoring away. The latter's belly was facing the sky, and its short little tail was circling around. Its small belly was round, and it looked very cute. Luo Qingtong stretched out her hand and flicked its pig nose. Ever since she dealt with the Cool Breeze Pavilion Master in the space at the bottom of the cliff, this fellow had been sleeping until now and showed no signs of waking up. Luo Qingtong furrowed her brows. It wasn't like this the previous few times. Chapter 1942. This time, was it because he had consumed too much energy? As Luo Qingtong thought about it, she examined Little Pig's body. After discovering that there was nothing wrong with his body and that he was just sleeping, she didn't think too much about it. Little Pig's strength was sealed. Perhaps this time, it was because the pavilion master of the Cool Breeze Pavilion was too strong after his mutation, so he had to remove too much of his strength. Luo Qingtong recalled the scene when Little Pig's true body attacked. At that time, Little Pig, who usually only extended the tip of his claw or the tip of his claw, seemed to have extended his entire front claw. If that was the case, perhaps it was because he had broken too many seals and had consumed too much energy. After confirming that Little Pig was fine, Luo Qingtong sat down at the bottom of the 9-layered exquisite pagoda and prepared to increase her strength. The ratio of time here was different, so she could save a lot of Luo Qingtong's time. If she were to increase her strength outside, Luo Qingtong was afraid that she would waste too much time and wouldn't be able to make it in time for the opening of the land of the deceased immortals. Luo Qingtong sat upright on the ground and took out the Saint King Realm Immortal Jade Bone from the Pavilion Master of the Cool Breeze Pavilion. At that time, there were a total of 4 immortal jade bones. Among them, 3 were shattered by Luo Qingtong. Only the last one was left intact. Luo Qingtong released the ancient heavenly spirit wood from her trash ring. As soon as it came out, its leaves automatically wrapped around the Saint King Realm Immortal Jade Bone. In just a short while, the death chi and evil chi in the Saint King Realm Immortal Jade Bone were completely absorbed by it. Then, the ancient heavenly spirit wood burped and its leaves trembled as it retracted back into the trash ring. Luo Qingtong watched this scene with the corner of her mouth twitching. Then, she began to increase her strength. Swoosh! Streams of energy were absorbed into her body from the Saint King Realm's purifying celestial jade bone. Rumble! In Luo Qingtong's meridians, there was a sound that sounded like thunder and drums. The enormous energy from the Saint King realm immortal jade bone washed through her meridians and opened up her dantian. It pushed her strength to a higher level. At the same time, the immortal jade bone contained the experiences and comprehensions of countless experts from outside the domain. At this moment, it also surged into her mind and fused with her own thought power. It helped her comprehend the power of a higher realm. Under this two-pronged effect, the aura inside of Luo Qingtong's body slowly changed. Rumble. Day after day passed. After Luo Qingtong, Luo Qingtong. The Luo Qingtong Luo's body. Luo. Luo Qingtong's body also began to tremble faintly in the surging power. Bang bang bang. Numerous wounds appeared on her body, dyeing her red robes even more crimson like fire. The intense and deep color was like a blood-red flower blooming in the depths of hell. It was full of the aura of death and blood. Luo Qingtong's face turned pale in an instant. But she didn't even open her eyes. Saint King Realm. I want to be a king and destroy everything. Chapter 1943. Bang! 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 As the blood vessels all over Luo Qingtong's body exploded. Her aura weakened in an instant. The large amount of blood loss had caused her breathing to become weak. It was almost as if she was about to completely disappear, as if she was dead. At this time, many people would not continue. However, Luo Qingtong did not stop her aura from circulating. She continued to circulate her power, pushing her strength to a higher level. In fact, the more he pushed, the faster he pushed. The next second, boom. When her aura almost fell to the freezing point, there was a sudden click in her mind, as if she had broken through some barrier. An extremely powerful and terrifying power poured down from her mind. And in Luo Qingtong's dantian, a brand new power suddenly emerged, completely different from before. It was like a rushing river, filling Luo Qingtong's entire body. Promotion to the Saint King realm. Luo Qingtong's aura, which had already fallen to the freezing point, suddenly rose. It recovered in an instant. Not only that. The ruptured blood vessels and wounds in her body were all healed in an instant. In the Saint King realm, there was no construction without destruction. Without destruction, there was no birth. The breakthrough was successful. Luo Qingtong's eyes suddenly opened. She felt the power of the Saint King realm in her body and laughed. Fortunately, I broke through at the last moment. The situation just now was really dangerous. How many people had broken through to the Saint King realm at the last stage? If they retreated, they would not be able to break through again. After that, it would be harder and harder to break through again. And if they forced their way through without experience, it would be easy to fail at the last moment. At that time, not only would they fail to break through, but they would also lose their lives. Luo Qingtong was able to break through successfully because of the help of the power in the Saint King realm's immortal jade bone. After all, the Saint King realm's immortal jade bone contained the experience and comprehension of the foreign powerhouse who had already broken through to the Saint King realm. It was equivalent to having a master helping her break through step by step. After successfully breaking through to the Saint King realm, Luo Qingtong began to consume the leaves picked from the ancient heavenly spirit tree. She plucked the biggest piece. The color contained within was incomparably deep. Clearly, it was very mature. Since Hingji wasn't here, Luo Qingtong didn't know if the darker the color of the leaf, the stronger the power of the soul imprint contained in the leaf. After all, even the same soul seals had different levels and strengths. Luo Qingtong thought that it was better to accept this piece. After all, it was the first to grow. Luo Qingtong put the leaf into her body. In an instant, the leaf turned into a warm current that flowed against the current. With a boom, Luo Qingtong felt that there was something in her mind. It was an indescribable feeling. It was as if there was something in her soul that was different from before. Luo Qingtong sensed this feeling and then began to follow this feeling to find the newly developed soul seal ability. Boom! As she probed, a ball of fiery light appeared in her hand. Then, the power of the golden sun fire rose from her hand. Luo Qingtong was surprised. Chapter 1944. Swish! In an instant, the flame in Luo Qingtong's hand transformed into various colors. Red, white, gold, purple, and even dark black. Luo Qingtong looked at the various flame auras in her hand and blinked. She seemed to have awakened an incredible soul seal ability. The aura emitted by these flames gave Luo Qingtong a completely different feeling. This was not an ordinary fire attribute soul seal. An ordinary fire attribute soul seal could not transform into so many flame auras. An ordinary fire attribute soul seal could absorb and control the aura of a flame. The stronger the flame aura, the higher the level of the fire attribute soul seal, and the more powerful the cultivator could exert. However, the soul seal that Luo Qingtong had awakened seemed to be able to control and transform all flames. Luo Qingtong looked at the flame auras constantly changing in her palm and did not know what was going on. Was it because of her innate mixed yuan body, or was the leaf of the ancient heavenly spirit tree really so powerful? Luo Qingtong was surprised. The fire attribute auras, after transforming in Luo Qingtong's hand for a while, were suddenly extinguished. With Luo Qingtong's current strength, there was no way she could fully control these flame auras. In particular, the stronger the flame aura, the more power it needed to support it. Luo Qingtong had just reached the Saint King realm. Under the illusion of these flame auras, she was drained dry. By the time she reacted, there was only an empty shell left in her body. The power in her body had been squeezed dry, and there was not even a little bit left. However, the number of flame auras that she had conjured in her hands did not even exceed 10. These 10 kinds of flame auras had drained the power of Luo Qingtong's Saint King realm. Luo Qingtong's lips twitched violently. However, she was very happy in her heart. The stronger the flame aura, the stronger the power she could attach to her attacks in the future. To her, this was something she could only wish for. When her strength increased in the future, she would naturally be able to control the aura of these flames. Moreover, it could create even more flame aura. Compared to this, consuming a little more energy was nothing. Luo Qingtong thought so and didn't care much about it. She tidied herself up and prepared to leave the 9-layer exquisite pagoda. When she broke through earlier, her body was covered in blood. At this moment, the clothes on his body were sticky, almost sticking to his body. Luo Qingtong felt very uncomfortable. She wanted to go out and take a bath before coming back to test her improved strength. In any case, the energy in her body was all gone. It would take some time for it to grow again. Luo Qingtong took advantage of this time to take a bath. She asked someone to prepare a bathtub for her. After going out, she went straight into the bathtub to wash up. While Luo Qingtong was bathing in her room, a group of uninvited guests arrived at the imperial city. Which one of you is Luo Qingtong? Their faces were arrogant. After asking about the location of the imperial sect, they came straight to the door. Who are you? A guard of the imperial sect disciple asked cautiously. Who are we? You have no right to ask. Chapter 1945. The aura surrounding this group of people was extremely vast and powerful. The aura of each of them was not weaker than the 3 protectors of the celestial palace from before. Sensing the aura and power emitted from their bodies, the expressions of the people from the imperial sect all changed. At this moment, Su Yu and the others had already received the news and rushed over. Who exactly are you people? They looked at the group of people in front of them with vigilance. With such strength and power, these people obviously came from the hidden world. Could it be that they were friends that the master had made in the hidden world? But if that was the case, these people's attitude was too arrogant and rude. Moreover, when they mentioned the master's name, they did not have any respect. Everyone thought about it and immediately became very vigilant. Su Yu looked at them and said coldly, "Report your identities. Otherwise, don't expect us to help you report." If these people were not the master's friends as they thought, but enemies, then reporting to the master and asking her to come over would be harming her. Su Yu and the others would definitely not do that. In fact, they were already prepared to make a move. When the group of people heard the words of Su Yu and the others, they were very worried. They glanced at Su Yu and the others and then realized that the strength of these people was far stronger than they had imagined. The strength of a holy general and so many holy masters? These people were surprised. They did not expect that in this secular world where spiritual energy was scarce, such powerful experts could be born. Wasn't the talent of these people a little too stunning? Everyone was surprised, but they did not know that this was the effect of purifying the immortal jade bone. The violent aura in the southern region had long disappeared completely. The aura at the bottom of the cliff had also shrunk as those monsters were killed. It was almost inaudible now. These people naturally did not know what had happened. When they saw the strength of Su Yu and the others, the arrogance on their faces was slightly restrained, but the tone of their words was still very impolite. "We are from the first-class sect of the hidden world, the Heavenly Yuan sect. We are here to invite Miss Luo Qingtong to the Heavenly Yuan sect under the orders of our martial granduncle. We have something to ask of you." As he spoke, he took out a letter. "This is a personal letter from our martial granduncle." Although the Sky Yuan sect disciple had said that he had something to ask of him, he didn't seem to care. If it weren't for the sudden appearance of that high master ancestor, who would have come to the mortal world of the true Spill continent just to ask a young girl to help. It was said that this girl was only 15 or 16 years old. At this age, even if he was a rare alchemy genius, how strong could he be? Back in the hidden world, so many pill masters were helpless against this injury. How could a young girl cure it? What a joke! As the Heavenly Yuan sect disciple pondered, Su Yu and the others received the letter. They were still guessing who this high master ancestor of the Heavenly Yuan sect was and why he would suddenly come to invite their master. Moreover, he seemed to be very confident in their master's abilities. Just as they were thinking about this, they saw the name marked on the letter. All of a sudden, the crowd cried out in surprise. Highest Dean. Chapter 1946. Su Yu and the others were shocked when they saw the name on the letter. Who would have thought that this group of people who looked like they were here to cause trouble would actually send a letter from the Grand Supreme Dean? Speaking of which, the Grand Supreme Dean had secretly left after the people from the Breeze Pavilion came to attack them. They wanted to thank him but could not find him. They even sent people to the sacred dynasty of the Empire of Qin to ask, but they could not find him. So he had gone to the Heavenly Yuan sect. They did not expect the Grand Supreme Dean to be a member of the Heavenly Yuan sect. He was even the Grand Supreme Dean of the Heavenly Yuan sect disciples. His seniority was really high. After the group of people confirmed that the people from the Heavenly Yuan sect were not enemies, they immediately went to inform Luo Qingtong. Luo Qingtong had just walked out of the bathroom. When she heard the news, she raised her eyebrows and followed Su Yu and the others to the main hall of the Imperial sect. The people from the Heavenly Yuan sect were sitting in the main hall. When they saw Luo Qingtong, they immediately stood up and looked at her with arrogance. "You are Luo Qingtong. They sized up Luo Qingtong and the disapproving look on their faces became even more obvious. She was just as they had thought. She was a young and tender girl. What kind of medical skills could such a person have? They were afraid that the Grand Supreme Dean who had suddenly appeared wanted to push people into the Heavenly Yuan sect. That was why he had purposely said that she could cure their Grand Supreme Dean's injury. After all, the Grand Supreme Dean had already brought a royal disciple from the sacred dynasty of the Empire of Qin into the Heavenly Yuan sect. He was even the Crown Prince. It was not so appropriate to push another person into the Heavenly Yuan sect. That was why he had come up with such a plan to push her into the Heavenly Yuan sect. The Heavenly Yuan sect disciples were full of disdain when they thought of this. They looked at Luo Qingtong with even more arrogance. This is the Grand Supreme Dean's handwritten letter. Take a look. If there are no problems, come with us. The leader of the Heavenly Yuan sect disciples said rudely. He had never thought that Luo Qingtong would not go with them. To be able to go to their Heavenly Yuan sect, Luo Qingtong must be crazy with joy. She would definitely seize this opportunity. After all, wasn't this what she and the Grand Supreme Dean wanted to do? The Heavenly Yuan sect disciple had a mocking expression. Luo Qingtong raised her brows when she saw their gazes. The Grand Supreme Dean's previous sect was like this. It was no wonder that after his strength declined, he came to the true Spill continent and became the dean of the Great Qin Sacred Dynasty's Sacred Academy. Luo Qingtong did not pay attention to these people. He only took the letter from the Grand Supreme Dean that they handed over. For the Grand Supreme Dean to send these people to find him, there must be a reason. Luo Qingtong had received many favors from the Grand Principal. When the people of the Breeze Pavilion attacked, the Grand Supreme Dean still came to help regardless of the consequences. Just based on this point, if the Grand Principal was in trouble, Luo Qingtong would definitely help him. Heavenly Yuan sect. What was it to her? She could even turn the beast-taming King Valley upside down. Although the Heavenly Yuan sect's strength was considered outstanding among the first-grade sects, it was much worse than the beast-taming King Valley. Luo Qingtong was not afraid of them. She opened the letter in her hand. Soon, she figured out what was going on. It turned out that the Grand Supreme Dean wanted her to go to the Heavenly Yuan sect to help treat someone. The other party's injury was similar to his, but the situation was much more serious. Chapter 1947. Luo Qingtong looked at the letter and raised her eyebrows. Just to save someone. That was much simpler. Luo Qingtong was originally going to the hidden world. The Heavenly Yuan sect would definitely enter the land of the deceased immortals. She could go in with them, which would save her a lot of trouble. Most importantly, Luo Qingtong did not know much about the situation in the land of the deceased immortals. She was still thinking about making some inquiries about this when she went to the hidden world. However, no matter how much information she found out, how could it be more detailed than first-hand information from a first-class sect? Luo Qingtong naturally would not miss this opportunity. Okay, I'll go with you, she said to the people of the Heavenly Yuan sect. When the latter and the others heard this, they immediately revealed an expression of, as expected. They looked at Luo Qingtong with even more disdain and mockery. They had completely treated Luo Qingtong as someone who was clinging on to someone powerful. Luo Qingtong's lips twitched when she saw their gazes. If these people of the Heavenly Yuan sect knew what she had done in the hidden world, they would not think this way. However, Luo Qingtong had no intention of exposing herself. Moreover, what did these people of the Heavenly Yuan sect think have anything to do with her? As long as these people did not provoke her for no reason, it was fine. Otherwise, she would definitely let them know what it meant to be a person. Luo Qingtong did not leave with the people of the Heavenly Yuan sect immediately. Her strength had just increased and she still needed some time to consolidate it. In addition, she also needed time to adapt and use the soul seal of the soul of 1,000 flames. She asked the people of the Heavenly Yuan sect to wait in the Imperial City. After 3 days, she would leave with them. The disciples of the Heavenly Yuan sect were not worried. They felt that Luo Qingtong was simply using their invitation to act like a big shot. Pfft. A scheming person who wants to enter our sect really thinks that she is a guest of our sect. That's right, she actually asked us to wait for her. The group of people complained as they returned to the inn. If it wasn't for the orders of the sect and great-grand-aunt, who would come to invite a girl who is still wet behind the ears. There's no energy fluctuation around him at all. I wonder how trashy his strength is. Grand Uncle Master actually asked us to invite such a person. He even got the sect master's approval. This is too embarrassing for the Heavenly Yuan sect. Exactly. When Luo Qingtong came out to meet the disciples of the Heavenly Yuan sect, all the power in her body had been drained after using the soul of myriad flames. Under such circumstances, her body naturally did not have any energy fluctuations at all. In the eyes of the Sky Yuan sect's disciples, she was so weak that they couldn't even sense the slightest energy wave from her. She was even more disdainful of her now. However, Luo Qingtong was ordered by the sovereign and the others to return. No one dared to disobey. After complaining for a while, they could only wait in the inn. And Luo Qingtong took advantage of these 3 days to consolidate her strength and realm. She also familiarized herself with the use of the soul of 1,000 flames and determined which flames she could use. She knew which flames she could use at the same time, which flames she could not use, and which flames she could use for a longer period of time. After confirming all these, Luo Qingtong came out of seclusion. Chapter 1948. His handsome face was bruised and swollen with all sorts of colors. Luo Qingtong looked at his face and couldn't help but laugh. Cough, this color, it's quite even. As soon as she said this, Yu Huang's eyes were filled with grievance. Tong Tong, it shouldn't be like this. Damn it, he was really tortured this time. That bastard Yi Qianren was too much of a bastard. He was so strong, but he didn't use his full strength at the beginning. First, one hand, then the other, then both hands without using his feet, he tricked him into hitting him several times. Every time he thought he could win, but every time he was tortured to the point of doubting his life. He was really King treacherous. A dignified Ming Zun should be more arrogant. Damn it. If he didn't get back at him in the future, his surname wouldn't be Yu. Yu Huang left angrily. Luo Qingtong looked at his back and her lips suddenly twitched. She deeply felt that Yu Huang should change his surname faster. Anyway, his surname wasn't really Yu. Sigh, in order not to hurt him, she had to hold it in. Yi Qianqian's strength was only a little bit after being restricted by the heavens. She also wanted to suppress that perverted man. But what could she do if she couldn't beat him? When Luo Qingtong's lips twitched, Yi Qianming also stepped in from outside. Qianming. Luo Qingtong looked at the man who was wearing a silver robe with golden threads. His eyes were sharp and cold, and his face was luxurious and cold. She immediately went up to him. Yi Qianming's expression was indifferent, but he raised his hand and wrapped it around Luo Qingtong's slender waist, pulling her into his embrace. One must know that this was unimaginable for Yi Qianming in the past. Not to mention hugging a woman. Even if someone approached him with bad intentions, he would fling them away with a wave of his sleeve. But now, as long as Luo Qingtong was around, Yi Qianming wanted to hug her. You beat Yu Huang too badly. Luo Qingtong automatically snuggled into his embrace. She was already used to having Yi Qianming by her side. The man's aura was already within the range of her sense of security. It wouldn't arouse any instinctive reaction or reaction in her body. This lord has already shown mercy. Yi Qianming's voice. It was better to beat him badly, so that he wouldn't keep thinking about her. And, thinking of the little book that Zuo Fei showed him, Yu Siwang scolded him a few times. Yi Qianming felt that he was already being merciful by not killing him. He completely suppressed his own strength to the same level as Yu Siwang, and fought with him. It could not be considered as taking advantage of him. Who could he blame him? Luo Qingtong's lips twitched. This man was really becoming more and more childish. At this moment, she heard Yi Qianming hurried over when he heard about the Sky Yuan sect. Otherwise, Yu Siwang might have been tortured for a few more days. Who told him to run over to Yi Qianming for a duel? He even told the other party not to refuse. In the end, it was a tragedy. It's nothing. Luo Qingtong shook her head and told him about the letter from the Grand Principal. Her expression was indifferent. Since it's the Grand Principal's request, I'll go. Moreover, I should be able to get a lot of information about the land of the fallen immortals from the Sky Yuan sect. This was the first time Luo Qingtong, Su Yu and the others entered the land of the fallen immortals. Naturally, they had to be fully prepared. Chapter 1949. Yi Qianming nodded. He had the same idea before. He was going to send people from the Black Field into the hidden world to collect information about this. But after all, as Luo Qingtong thought, the first-hand and most detailed information was naturally in the hands of a first-class sect like the Sky Yuan sect. It was best to get it from their hands. It could save a lot of time and energy. After all, it wasn't long before Luo Qingtong and the others went to the land of the fallen immortals. I'll go with you. Luo Qingtong nodded and then looked at him. You're done with the things on your side. Yi Qianming's expression was indifferent. He didn't have too many things to do when he returned to the Black Field this time. He just called back some of his previous forces and began to pave the way for Luo Qingtong to go to the land of the fallen immortals. When the land of the fallen immortals opened, all the forces in the hidden world would gather. Yi Qianming naturally wouldn't let anything happen to Luo Qingtong when she entered the land of the fallen immortals. He would protect everything that belonged to this woman. No one could act rashly. As for his identity being recognized, after the land of the fallen immortals, he would take Luo Qingtong and leave this place. So what if his identity was recognized? The other party wouldn't be able to find a place to verify his identity. Yi Qianming's expression was indifferent, but Luo Qingtong had already nodded happily. Okay, then we'll go to the Sky Yuan sect together. I'll tell Su Yu and the others to go to the Breeze Pavilion's headquarters first and take their heritage. The people of the Breeze Pavilion secretly came to the True Spill continent. It was useless to know that they were destroyed. According to Yan Yuju, the people of the Breeze Pavilion first sealed the mountain gate and then secretly went down the mountain. Since that was the case, it would be a waste not to take the treasures. They could directly rob the heritage of the Breeze Pavilion. This way, the immortal jade bones they obtained would belong to them. At that time, they wouldn't need to worry that Su Yu and the others didn't have enough immortal jade bones to go to the land of the fallen immortals. In addition, they could also get a bunch of things. If it was convenient, the mountain gate of the Breeze Pavilion could be used as Tian Xie's base in the hidden world. A new starting point. Yes. Yi Qianming nodded. I'll get Bei Qing and the others to cooperate with them. This way, Su Yu and the others would be absolutely safe. All right. Luo Qingtong laughed when she heard that. She looked at the man in front of her and felt that she was about to be spoiled by him. This feeling of, you attack the house, I rob the house, you kill, I deliver the knife, was simply too great. Luo Qingtong had never been spoiled like this before. If this man wanted to treat someone well, the average person wouldn't be able to bear it. Of course, he couldn't bear it either and fell into the enemy's hands. However, in this world, it was not easy to find someone who was as monstrous as him. Yet, the other party still indulged and spoiled her so much. Luo Qingtong felt that even if she fell, it was not a shameful thing. What's more, it was this man who had fallen for her first. Thinking of this, her eyes suddenly widened and she smiled. Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianming didn't stay in the imperial city for long. Once the 3-day deadline was up, they set off with the people of the Sky Yuan sect. The latter and the others were very unhappy that Luo Qingtong had to bring a man with her. A disciple of the Sky Yuan sect said in a strange tone, "Really, is it popular to bring a family to the sect now?" Chapter 1950. He purposely lowered his voice so that Luo Qingtong could hear him. She couldn't find anything that could be used against him. Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows and said coldly, "So when the people from the Heavenly Yuan sect came, they said that I can't bring anyone with me. If that's the case, then I won't go." Luo Qingtong's expression was cold. She gave face to the Grand Supreme Dean, but that didn't mean that these people from the Heavenly Yuan sect could be unscrupulous and take a mile after taking an inch. The Heavenly Yuan sect wasn't the only first-class sect in the hidden world. If she wanted to obtain information about the Graveyard of Immortals, she couldn't only rely on the Heavenly Yuan sect. Luo Qingtong said. Instantly, the faces of the Heavenly Yuan sect disciples turned ugly. The sect didn't say that Luo Qingtong couldn't bring anyone with her. After all, they were here to invite Luo Qingtong, not Luo Qingtong begging them to go. Under such circumstances, Luo Qingtong was free to bring as many people as she wanted. However, they were certain that Luo Qingtong was using the Grand Supreme Dean to climb up the ranks. They felt that it was already a great honor for her to go to the Heavenly Yuan sect alone. If she brought another person with her, she would be asking for a mile after taking an inch. Now that they were choked by Luo Qingtong's words, they were momentarily speechless. If Luo Qingtong didn't go to the Heavenly Yuan sect, then they would be incompetent. The leader of the Heavenly Yuan sect disciples glared at the person who spoke, then frowned and said to Luo Qingtong, "Luo Qingtong, we Heavenly Yuan sect disciples are in the wrong. Don't take it to heart." His words sounded like he was giving in to Luo Qingtong, but the meaning in his words was still very impolite. It even carried an air of superiority and command. Yi Qianqian's eyes were cold as he looked at these people from the Heavenly Yuan sect. Luo Qingtong had told him before that these people were sent by the Grand Principal, so he didn't think much about it. From the looks of it, these people were not simply sent here by the Grand Principal. He was clearly looking down on Luo Qingtong. If he had known earlier, even if Luo Qingtong owed the Grand Principal a favor, he would never have allowed her to agree to go to the Heavenly Yuan sect. A favor was a favor. His woman would never be wronged. Apologize. Yi Qianqian's voice was cold. The disciples of the Sky Yuan sect glared at him. They were afraid of Luo Qingtong. Who was this man? What right did he have to speak to them like that? The disciples of the Sky Yuan sect were furious. A few Heavenly Yuan sect disciples even said to the leading disciple, "Senior brother, I think they really don't know what's good for them. There's no need to continue talking to them. Let's go." Yes. When we return to the sect, tell the sect leader and the others that they were the ones who didn't want to come. Shut up. The leading disciple's face was ice cold. He glared angrily at these accompanying senior and junior brothers. How could it be as simple as they made it out to be? The sect leader and the others had sent someone to invite Luo Qingtong. Moreover, that martial granduncle who had suddenly appeared had also said that there was a personal letter from him, so she would definitely come. If they went back alone, would the sect leader and the others listen to their explanation? What's more, this girl was clearly acquainted with that martial granduncle. If he personally came to invite her, what if she told that martial granduncle about this? At that time, they would be punished by the sect because of this groundless resentment. Not only that, losing the trust of the sect leader and the others was a big taboo. Chapter 1951. The leader of the disciples was enraged. He glared angrily at Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian. These two really don't know what's good for them. Wait until they enter the Heavenly Yuan sect. If they can't treat Granddance injuries, let's see what they'll do then. If they wanted to deal with them, they had plenty of ways to do so. As he thought of this, he immediately said to the disciple who had spoken rudely to Luo Qingtong, "Apologize." Senior brother. The Heavenly Yuan sect disciple's expression was very unconvinced. I said, apologize. The leader of the Heavenly Yuan sect disciple shouted sternly. The other party actually dared to question his authority. Yes. Hearing the anger in his voice, the Heavenly Yuan sect disciple reluctantly lowered his head and apologized to Luo Qingtong. I was wrong just now. I'm sorry. Before he could finish speaking, Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes and looked at him. Are you apologizing to me? She pointed at the man beside her. Shouldn't it be him? You. The Heavenly Yuan sect disciple couldn't hold it in any longer. Luo Qingtong didn't stop him when he opened his mouth. Now, after he had apologized, she said that he should apologize to him. She was clearly doing it on purpose. Furthermore, Luo Qingtong was a guest invited by the Heavenly Yuan sect. He had offended her, so he naturally should apologize. But who was this man? Why should he apologize to him? This woman was clearly deliberately making things difficult for him and disgusting him. Did I say anything wrong? Your Heavenly Yuan sect didn't say that you can't bring people along, but you casually ridiculed the people I brought along. Can't I seek justice? Luo Qingtong looked at him coldly. Just like how Yi Qianxian had defended her, she naturally couldn't let this man suffer in front of her. Otherwise, why would she suddenly make things difficult for these people when she had barked like mad dogs? It was because in this world, only she could bully this man and make him helpless. No one else could. Whoever dared to say a word about him would pay the price. Insulting him is the same as insulting me. Luo Qingtong's eyes were cold. Are you going to apologize? Luo Qingtong's words made the faces of the Sky Yuan sect disciples turn even uglier. Luo Qingtong's words were too insatiable. It would be best if she could treat great-grandaunt's injuries. Otherwise, when they reached the Heavenly Yuan sect, they would not let them off so easily. Apologize. The leading disciple of the Heavenly Yuan sect said coldly. He kicked the Heavenly Yuan sect disciple hard. The latter's face was full of humiliation and grievance. He lowered his head heavily and apologized to Yi Qianxian. Young master, please, forgive me. I was rude and offended you. Please, forgive me. He said those words with great difficulty. Then, he flashed to the back of the group with an ugly expression. The group of Sky Yuan sect disciples also stared coldly at Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian. Miss Luo, please. The leading disciple of the Sky Yuan sect said coldly to Luo Qingtong. His voice was gloomy. Luo Qingtong didn't care. Since these people didn't dare to touch her, they should behave themselves. If they were dragons, they should coil around her. If they were tigers, they should lie down. Ignoring them, Luo Qingtong pulled Yi Qianxian's hand and walked forward. Chapter 1952. Anyway, she was not in a hurry to go to the Tianyuan sect. These people just had to follow her obediently. The group of Tianyuan sect disciples' faces were extremely ugly. After following Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian for a period of time, they really could not bear it and had to humbly beg them to hurry up. After all, they were in a hurry to go back to the sect. The land of the deceased immortals was about to open. They wanted more time to improve their strength. This was really a race against time. Therefore, they had to bow their heads to Luo Qingtong. The few Tianyuan sect disciples who were the most arrogant previously, Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian, also had to bow their heads and apologize. Although Luo Qingtong did not make any requests of them. Who didn't know that Luo Qingtong was deliberately making things difficult for them? The group of people could only swallow their anger and treat Luo Qingtong nicely. After returning to the sect, they would think of a way to settle the score with her. Luo Qingtong was not afraid of them. Seeing that one by one they apologized to her and Yi Qianxian, she immediately pulled Yi Qianxian and quickened their pace. The group of people did not take long to arrive at the Tianyuan sect. In the Tianyuan sect, the Grand Supreme Dean was anxiously pacing in the courtyard. He had been in this state for a few days. After hearing that Luo Qingtong had come, he immediately rushed out of his courtyard and went to the gate of the Tianyuan sect to welcome Luo Qingtong in. When he saw that Yi Qianxian had also come with her, the Grand Supreme Dean's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Oh my God! Why was Ming Zun here? Thinking of how fiercely this person protected his wife, and then thinking of the ugly faces of some people in his sect, the Grand Supreme Dean's face turned green. Hey! He quietly pulled Luo Qingtong to the side and asked, "Why did you bring him here?" This stinky girl's heart was really big. She wasn't afraid that this man would get angry and destroy his sect. The highest dean didn't have a favorable impression of some people in his own sect, otherwise he wouldn't have left the true Spill continent for so many years after his strength had plummeted. However, he was still very respectful towards his master, the sect leader of the Sky Yuan sect. Oh my God, I can't let Ming Zun destroy my sect's business. Hey, can you control your man? The Grand Supreme Dean looked at her with a bitter face and said, "At least don't let him destroy my sect." Luo Qingtong looked at him with a faint smile. If he had such thoughts, it meant that some people in his sect were really troublesome. Luo Qingtong had already seen this point from the fact that the Grand Dean didn't want to return to the sect even if he was beaten to death. He wasn't surprised. Instead, they were curious about the reason why he had returned to the sect. Let's not talk about this for now. Don't go overboard. Qianren won't do anything to you. But you. Luo Qingtong sized up the Grand Supreme Dean and asked, "Didn't you say that you didn't want to return to the hidden world even if you were beaten to death? Why did you suddenly change your mind?" Also, Luo Qingtong looked at him with a smile and said, "What about your love debt? Are you done yet?" Speaking of this, the Grand Supreme Dean's face instantly turned red. Luo Qingtong looked at the Grand Supreme Dean's face that instantly turned red from head to toe. His entire person was like a cooked shrimp, and she was dumbfounded for a moment. This person, wasn't this too exaggerated? Luo Qingtong blinked her eyes. At this moment, the Grand Supreme Dean instantly glared at her and angrily said, "None of your business." Chapter 1953. Also, who do you think caused me to be like this? The Grand Supreme Dean was in a bad mood. If it weren't for the fact that he had to help this stinky girl at the bottom of the cliff, would he have been discovered by the sect and captured by someone? Now that things had turned out like this, it was really, this stinky girl still dared to laugh at him. Luo Qingtong looked at him speechlessly. Who was a child? Her mental age was already 18 years old, okay? But the Grand Supreme Dean's appearance, there was obviously a problem. Luo Qingtong looked at him ambiguously. The latter looked at her, and his expression became even more furious. Out of sight, out of mind, he directly pulled her inside. All right, stop being naughty. Hurry up, help me take a look at her. She transferred all her remaining strength and cultivation to me, and now the injuries in her body have worsened. Help me take a look and see if her condition can still be cured. When Luo Qingtong heard the serious matter, her expression instantly turned solemn. She then realized that the Grand Supreme Dean's strength had increased to the Holy Emperor realm during this period of time, and was close to the Holy Emperor realm. From the Grand Supreme Dean's words, it seemed that someone had transferred her strength to him. This was really true love. However, Luo Qingtong's face was filled with anger. Where on earth did you get the confidence to think that I can cure her? The other party had already transferred her strength to him, which was equivalent to dissipating her own strength, and he still wanted to save her. Save my ass. She was definitely going to be crippled, okay? No, our situation is more special. The Grand Supreme Dean's expression was awkward as he said this. Anyway, you will know when you take a look later. As he spoke, he pulled Luo Qingtong inside. Luo Qingtong didn't forget Yi Qianxian, and she pulled him inside. During this time, Yi Qianxian's expression was cold. That pair of dark and deep eyes, which were as sharp as swords, stared coldly at the hand that the Grand Principal was holding onto Luo Qingtong. Her stare made him shudder. Only then did he realize how big a mistake he had made. He hurriedly let go of Luo Qingtong's hand. Oh my God, please don't flip out, please don't flip out. He really didn't mean it. The corner of the Grand Supreme Dean's mouth twitched. He hurriedly pretended to be ignorant and continued to walk down. Along the way, he felt as if a knife was poking his back. Pooh! Luo Qingtong couldn't help laughing when she saw their interaction. When Yi Qianmin heard her laughter, she instantly snorted coldly. She raised her hand and took out a handkerchief, carefully wiping her hands. Dirty. Before he could open his mouth, Luo Qingtong had already finished for him with a smile. Yi Qianxian cast a sidelong glance at her. You know it's dirty, but you still let others touch it. Luo Qingtong looked at his eyes and laughed even harder. I know, I know. Luo Qingtong smiled and kissed the man's lips. She didn't care if there were other people around. Yi Qianxian narrowed his eyes and looked at the little woman in his arms throwing herself at him. He didn't know why, but the gloominess in his heart suddenly dissipated. He really fell into the hands of this woman in this lifetime. Yi Qianxian squeezed Luo Qingtong's soft and boneless hands. He snorted coldly in his heart, but there was an indescribable sweetness that penetrated the heart and spread in his heart. Cunning. He snorted softly and turned around to pull her into his arms, holding her tightly in his arms. Chapter 1954. Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian followed the Grand Supreme Dean into a courtyard. In a room in the courtyard, a pale but dignified and beautiful woman was lying on the bed. The woman's face was elegant but her eyes seemed to hide a sharpness. At this moment, when she saw the Grand Supreme Dean and Luo Qingtong walking in, she said coldly, "What are you doing here again? Didn't I ask you to leave?" Her voice was cold but the Grand Supreme Dean smiled bitterly. How would he dare to leave? After eating her up, she even sucked away her cultivation. If he were to leave, would he still be human? That was too ungrateful of him. Especially when this person was not just anyone but his master's beloved daughter. His junior sister who was his childhood sweetheart. Why would I leave? Junior sister, you must be joking. Ha ha ha, the Grand Supreme Dean laughed dryly. However, the woman lying on the bed did not appreciate it at all. If I didn't stop you, you would have run away when I brought you back to the sect. What's the use of saying all this now? Bai Suqing's face was cold. She had waited for this stinky man for so many years but he had refused to come back to see her. Even when she sensed that he had used the power of the golden light shield to bring him back to the sect, he still wanted to run away. If he hadn't appeared, and if he hadn't found out that he had the same injuries as him, and felt guilty, he might have run away again. The reason why she was so attentive was because she had drugged him and forced herself on him. She had sucked the last of his hidden injuries into her body and transferred the last of her strength to him. Otherwise, how could this man be so obedient? Wouldn't he have run away long ago? Bai Suqing's face was cold and her sharp eyes did not even want to look at the Grand Supreme Dean. If you want to leave, then leave. Don't be an eyesore here. I didn't do all this for you. You don't have to be so attentive. Junior sister, the bitter smile on the Grand Supreme Dean's face became more obvious. He didn't expect his junior sister to be so extreme. He and Bai Suqing were childhood sweethearts. Back then, he was injured in that place, causing his cultivation to plummet. No matter how hard he tried, he was unable to recover. He had already been confirmed by many alchemists in the hidden world that he would never be able to recover his cultivation in this lifetime. Under such circumstances, he naturally could not implicate his master and junior sister and allow others to mock the Heavenly Yuan sect's chief disciple for being a cripple who could not grow any stronger. He endured the pain and left. For so many years, he had been trying to avoid being found by the Sky Yuan sect. He did it so that Bai Suqing could forget about him and find a better husband. Who would have thought that after he was injured, Bai Suqing also went to that place and came back with the same injuries as him? Coincidentally, he had already left at that time, so he didn't know about this at all. Otherwise, he would have stopped him. And a few days ago, after he was captured and brought back to the sect, she even drugged him and passed the last of her cultivation and strength to him through dual cultivation. Now, the hidden dangers in his body were all gone, and he had reached the level of strength that he should have reached before he was injured. However, Bai Suqing's body was in a mess. Chapter 1955. It was also because of Sky Yuan sect's deep foundation that they used all kinds of treasures and precious herbs to protect Bai Suqing. Otherwise, she would have become a cripple long ago. She accepted the other party's deep affection and even took advantage of him. How could the Grand Supreme Dean have any confidence in front of Bai Suqing? Back then, he left because he liked Bai Suqing and did not want to hold her back. After so many years, he had never forgotten her. But in order not to ruin her future life and to prevent others from using his injuries and strength to attack his master, he did not return to the sect for so many years. Now that things had turned out like this, he would not have run away. The Grand Supreme Dean was depressed. Then, he thought of Luo Qingtong and quickly pulled her over. Junior sister, don't be angry. I know that I was wrong in the past. I will change in the future. Look, this is the evil doctor that I told you about previously. She was the one who cured my injuries. Quickly let her take a look at your injuries. After she has cured your injuries, we will get married. In the future, I will not go anywhere except by your side. Okay. The Grand Supreme Dean was almost coaxing the girl in front of him. Bai Suqing had done so much for him. In the past, he did not know about it. Now that he knew, he would not leave her side even if he was chased away. He only hoped that the other party would not be angry and let Luo Qingtong take a look at her injuries. After all, treatment required the other party's cooperation. Otherwise, even if Luo Qingtong had a way, it would be useless. When Bai Suqing heard this, she immediately raised her head and looked at Luo Qingtong. You are his student. You have cured his injuries. Although she was still angry with the Grand Supreme Dean, after hearing that Luo Qingtong had cured his injuries, she looked at Luo Qingtong with gentleness in her eyes. Her expression was not as cold as when she was facing the Grand Supreme Dean. Yes. Luo Qingtong had been watching from the side for a while. When she saw Bai Suqing looking at her, her expression was gentle and her voice was gentle. He knew that the other party's previous coldness towards the Grand Principal was probably due to a fit of pique. In reality, the other party was still very concerned about him. Who would have thought that the Grand Supreme Dean would have such a soulmate in the Heaven Yuan sect? No wonder Qian Ren said that it was difficult for him to repay the debt of love, and when she asked him to come with her to the hidden world, he also looked like he would rather die than agree. It seemed that a lot of things had happened in the Sky Yuan sect. That was why the Grand Supreme Dean had made such a 180-degree change. Luo Qingtong thought of the expression of the Grand Dean, which was like a cooked shrimp, and suddenly smiled. She nodded at Bai Suqing and said, "I'm Luo Qingtong." "Hello." Bai Suqing nodded at her. She was also very curious about this student that the Grand Supreme Dean had mentioned. The other party was actually the person who had healed his injuries. He didn't expect the other party to be so young. One really couldn't judge a book by its cover. Bai Suqing would not doubt the words of the Grand Supreme Dean. The other party would not harm her. Therefore, this young girl should really be that powerful. When the two of them were talking, the Grand Supreme Dean, who was beside them, was already a little anxious. All right. The two of you can talk later. Evil doctor, quickly help me take a look at her. Is her condition serious? If. Chapter 1956. What the Grand Supreme Dean was thinking was to absorb the violent energy in Bai Suqing's body back into his own body and transfer his strength to Bai Suqing. Anyway, he had been a half-cripple for so long. It did not matter. But Bai Suqing could not. He had to let her live well. Cough. When Luo Qingtong heard what the Grand Supreme Dean said, she suddenly coughed violently. It turned out that the Grand Supreme Dean's strength came from dual cultivation. It was no wonder that his face was as red as a cooked prawn. Bai Suqing, who was beside him, blushed. She grabbed a pillow at the side and threw it at him. Get out of here. What nonsense are you talking about? Moreover, he did it in front of two juniors. Bai Suqing's face was flushed red. Her pale face regained some color. She glanced at Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian. Cough, the Grand Supreme Dean's face was also a little embarrassed. However, for Bai Suqing's sake, he could not care so much. Little kid, can you do it? He urged Luo Qingtong. Grand Supreme Dean, let me finish the treatment first. Luo Qingtong looked at him. She really had to hand it to him. Oh. Look. As the Grand Supreme Dean spoke, he quickly stood aside obediently. As for Luo Qingtong, she was carefully checking Bai Suqing's body. She transferred a trace of her aura into Bai Suqing's body. Following the flow of her aura, it circulated in her body. At the same time, she activated her pupil technique. When she lowered her head slightly, she had already seen the situation in Bai Suqing's body. The latter's condition was very bad. The violent energy was exactly the same as the energy in the Grand Supreme Dean's body previously. However, the Grand Supreme Dean's energy was suppressed by his energy. As for Bai Suqing's body, she had transferred all the energy in her body to the Grand Supreme Dean. As a result, her body did not have the slightest resistance in the face of the violent invasion of the energy. If it weren't for the numerous treasures and precious medicinal herbs of the Heavenly Yuan Sept, Bai Suqing's body would have been completely destroyed by the violent energy. But even so, her condition was not optimistic. The violent energy had already destroyed many of her meridians and was now approaching her dantian. If this continued, Bai Suqing would become a cripple sooner or later. This power occupied her dantian and meridians, turning her body into a huge magnetic storm. At that time, even if she managed to get rid of the energy, her body would still be destroyed. How is it? Evil Dr. Baby. The Grand Supreme Dean looked at her nervously. No. Luo Qingtong opened her eyes. Hearing this, the Grand Supreme Dean's eyelids twitched. No. He said in disbelief, you mean, she can't be cured? The Grand Supreme Dean was unable to accept this result. Evil doctor, take a good look again. Take a good look. The Grand Supreme Dean was really anxious this time. Previously, he had been holding on to the hope that Luo Qingtong could cure him. After all, she had cured his internal injuries. Although Bai Suqing's condition was a little serious, it was not like she had no chance. However, at this moment, Luo Qingtong's no made his entire body go limp. No. Chapter 1957. It's not that she can't be treated, but your dual cultivation method won't work. Even if you transfer your strength back to her, it won't be of much use. Bai Suqing's meridians had been destroyed a lot. Even if the Grand Supreme Dean transferred his strength back to her, she wouldn't be able to circulate it and resist the violent power. Ah. What should I do then? The Grand Supreme Dean was embarrassed when he heard that. However, he quickly reacted and hurriedly asked. Prepare a private chamber for me. All of you stay outside and don't let anyone come near. I'll treat her then. This was the Tianyuan sect. Although Luo Qingtong trusted the Grand Supreme Dean, it didn't mean that she trusted everyone here. She wanted to treat Bai Suqing, so she couldn't afford to make any mistakes. Of course, she didn't want anyone to peek at her pupil technique. All right. The Grand Supreme Dean agreed without hesitation and immediately left to make preparations. At this moment, the door outside was pushed open and a group of people walked in. Nonsense. A man in the Tianyuan sect's senior elder robe said coldly, eldest senior brother, is this the disciple you found to treat junior sister's injury? As he spoke, he glanced at Luo Qingtong with disdain. You're just a girl who's still wet behind the ears. How dare you say that? Even if you want your disciple to enter the sect, you don't have to use such a clumsy method, right? What if junior sister's injury worsens because of your torment? She's already done enough for you. If you still have a conscience, don't joke about her life. The Grand Supreme Dean was furious when he heard that. Chen Tong, what did you say? What do you mean? The Grand Supreme Dean was furious. How could he joke about junior sister's life? In this world, the only person who could treat Bai Suqing was Luo Qingtong, who had also treated him. These people didn't know anything. What nonsense were they talking about? Am I not clear enough? Chen Tong snorted coldly. This is the Heavenly Yuan sect, not a place where you can cause trouble. Eldest senior brother, I've already been very tolerant of you because of my previous attitude. Now, I can't let you do whatever you want just because junior sister likes you. All of you, descend the mountain immediately. Leave the Heavenly Yuan sect. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite and attacking you. His voice was cold as he looked at the Grand Supreme Dean with disdain. What ability did the other party have? More than 10 years ago, his cultivation had plummeted, making him a half-cripple. If it wasn't for Bai Suqing transferring her last bit of cultivation to him, he wouldn't even be qualified to talk to him. What right did he have to yell in front of him? He thought about how he had guarded Bai Suqing for so long, all for the sake of marrying her and inheriting the Heavenly Yuan sect. In the end, the moment the Grand Dean returned, he messed up his plans. After hearing the news that the two of them were together, Chen Tong even had the urge to kill the Grand Supreme Dean. He had purposely asked the Grand Supreme Dean to invite Luo Qingtong to the sect so that he could have a legitimate reason to chase them down the mountain and completely destroy the Grand Supreme Dean's desire to stay in the Sky Yuan sect in the future. The sect would be his in the future and could only be his. Chapter 1958. You! Chen Tong, how dare you! The Grand Supreme Dean panicked. He did not have to stay in the Sky Yuan sect. If that was the case, he would not have left in the first place. However, this was the time when Bai Suqing needed treatment. From Luo Qingtong's words, the Grand Supreme Dean could feel that although Bai Suqing's condition could be treated, it was already very dangerous. If they were chased away by Qintong, Bai Suqing's treatment would be delayed and her condition would worsen in the future. How could he face her? Moreover, Bai Suqing had feelings for him and had done so much for him. If he left just like that, how could he face her? Since he had promised Bai Suqing that he would not leave her side for the rest of his life. Qintong, you are not qualified to chase me away, he said coldly. Although he had left the Sky Yuan sect, his name was not removed from the Sky Yuan sect. What right did Qintong have to chase him away? Humph. Of course, I was not qualified in the past. However, Qintong sneered at the Grand Supreme Dean and said, you have left the Sky Yuan sect for so many years and have not contributed at all to the sect. Now, you are joking about junior sister's health for your own student. For junior sister, I can only chase you away. Even if I have to bear the reputation of chasing senior brother away, I will not hesitate. So, senior brother. Zhu Yi, please leave. Lest I get someone to throw you out. At that time, it will not look good on everyone. Don't you think so? Before the Grand Supreme Dean could speak, Bai Suqing had already shouted angrily, Qintong, don't go overboard. I will make the decision on my own matters. They are my guests. It is not up to you to decide whether they stay or leave. Bai Suqing was also angered by Qintong this time. She had finally caught the Grand Supreme Dean and made him change his mind so that he was willing to stay by her side. However, Qintong had to interfere. She knew what he had been planning all this time. For so many years, he had been coveting the Sky Yuan sect and wanted to get his hands on her. He had wanted to lay his hands on her several times, but she had seen through him. Back then, when Zhu Yi was in danger in the land of the fallen immortals, his strength had plummeted. Did she not know who was behind it? Back then, Zhu Yi had said that he had received news that she was in danger there, so he had rushed over and ended up injured there. But in reality, she wasn't at that place at all, and she didn't send him any news. So where did he get the information from? After Zhu Yi left, Qintong quickly improved his strength and became the new first disciple of the Tianyuan sect through the resources he was given. Was there really no connection between the two of them? Bai Suqing did not believe it at all. However, she couldn't find any evidence to prove that Qintong had done anything to Zhu Yi back then. Seeing that he actually wanted to chase the Grand Principal down the mountain, he immediately became angry. She sat up angrily. However, Qintong's expression did not change at all. Junior sister, you're wrong. I'm doing this for your sake. You've been bewitched by Zhu Yi. You'd rather risk your body to pave the way for his student. But I can't watch you humiliate yourself like this. This bitch, she had been indifferent to my pursuit for so many years and had been waiting for Zhu Yi. Chapter 1959. These two B***Cheese had planned it well. The zither and the zither were in perfect harmony. How joyful! But what about all the years of lying low and enduring? Today, he was going to cut off all their thoughts. He was going to let them know that there was no place for them in the Sky Yuan sect. It was good that Bai Suqing had ruined her body for Zhu Yi. In this way, the entire Sky Yuan sect could only rely on him in order to pass on the mantle. As the first disciple of the Sky Yuan sect, even if Bai Suqing was not willing to marry him, for the future of the Sky Yuan sect, this position could only be passed on to him. The premise was to get rid of Zhu Yi, this scourge. Then, he would find an opportunity to get rid of all future troubles. Chen Tong's eyes were filled with ruthlessness as he ignored Bai Suqing's voice. She had allowed him to find an opportunity to take action. In that case, he could not be blamed for making a fuss. Zhu Yi could only blame himself for being insatiable. Not only did he return to the sect, but he also wanted to bring his students along. Bringing one was not enough and he wanted to bring another one. Did he really think that the Sky Yuan sect was a garbage shelter? Chen Tong sneered and asked his men to chase after the Grand Supreme Dean and Luo Qingtong. Looking at their actions, a cold glint flashed across Yi Qinren's eyes. At this moment, Luo Qingtong's voice rang out. What if I cure Master's wife's injury? Luo Qingtong held Yi Qinren's hand and gently moved it in his palm, telling him not to take action. After all, this was the Grand Supreme Dean's sect. There was no need to start a feud with the other party because of one or two pieces of trash and scum. It would also put the Grand Supreme Dean in a difficult position. She looked at the arrogant Sky Yuan sect elder with a playful expression. She could see that the other party and the Grand Supreme Dean did not get along well. He was waiting for her to be invited to the Sky Yuan sect just to make things difficult for the Grand Supreme Dean at this moment. It was no wonder that the Grand Supreme Dean wanted to invite her over to treat Bai Suqing. It was fine that the Grand Supreme Dean and the Sky Yuan sect master did not object, but the others were also harmonious and did not have the slightest objection. So this was what they were waiting for. Luo Qingtong's lips were full of smiles. She knew that her reputation wasn't so great that a first-rate sect would lower themselves to invite her. Of course, it would be this big soon. At the very least, it would leave a deep impression on these people. Ha, with just you. Chen Tong looked at Luo Qingtong with disdain. Playing hard to get is not good enough. Did Zhu Yi teach you that? Did he think that this would be enough to trick him into relenting? Chen Tong also heard Zhu Yi call Luo Qingtong an evil doctor. However, he never thought that Luo Qingtong could save Bai Suqing. In his opinion, the Grand Supreme Dean's injuries were due to luck. Now, he wanted to use this opportunity to curry favor with Bai Suqing. The latter adored him wholeheartedly, so whatever he said was right. Naturally, she believed him without a doubt. At that time, the Grand Supreme Dean could just make up an excuse that he didn't succeed. What evil doctor? What treatment? It was just a trick to deceive people. This pair of master and disciple, as they talked, even they themselves believed it to be true. Or, they deliberately used this trick to trick him, so that he had to give in and bow his head. However, Bai Suqing's injuries were not as bad as Zhu Yi's. Chapter 1960. Many alchemists in the hidden world had seen it. There was absolutely no way to save her. Even if Zhu Yi had the same luck as before, it was impossible to save Bai Suqing. If not for this, he wouldn't have been so anxious before. These two people wanted to trick him. No way. Chen Tong sneered at Luo Qingtong and didn't want to pay attention to her. He raised his hand to let the people around him continue. Luo Qingtong looked at him and said indifferently, "What's wrong?" Elder Chen doesn't dare to answer. Is it because of a guilty conscience? I'm afraid that I really cured Master's wife's injury, but you don't want her to be cured. That's why you want to drive us away. As soon as these words came out, Chen Tong looked at Luo Qingtong with a malicious gaze. Bai Suqing also said coldly at this time, "That's right. Chen Tong, you deliberately didn't let them treat my injury. When my father comes out of seclusion, I will tell him that it was you who caused my cultivation to be wasted." This bitch. Chen Tong's face was gloomy. The other party was clearly preparing to let him take the blame. If he drove Zhu Yi and the others away, he would also bear the crime of causing her to be wasted. In this way, he would get rid of Zhu Yi and the others, but he wouldn't get any benefits. Thinking of this, Chen Tong's heart was furious to the extreme. Good. He was so angry that he laughed and looked at Luo Qingtong and the others. Since you keep saying that you can cure Junior Sister, then I'll give you a chance. Let you treat Junior Sister's injuries. If you cure her, I will naturally apologize to you. But if you can't... He sneered at Luo Qingtong and said, then you can wait for the Sky Yuan sect to punish you. Our Sky Yuan sect is not a place where people can fool us. His face was gloomy. Didn't they want to trick him and force him to give in? Fine, he would take a step back. Let's see how they deal with this. They were too inexperienced to deal with him. Chen Tong sneered and looked at Luo Qingtong. How about it? If you agree, then stay here and I won't say a word. But if you don't agree... He sneered, then get out of the Sky Yuan sect. Hearing this, Luo Qingtong smiled. She was still thinking about how to force Chen Tong to agree to the bet, but she didn't expect him to bring it up himself. Were they really that impatient to deal with the Grand Principal and them? Luo Qingtong's lips curled into a smile, which was indescribably evil and enchanting. All right. She nodded. If you can't cure us, we'll be at your mercy. However, if we were to cure you, wouldn't an apology be too light for you? As she spoke, she raised her eyebrows and said, if I cure Master's wife, then you will also be at her and the Grand Principal's disposal. How about it? The grudges of the Grand Supreme Dean were naturally left to him to deal with. Luo Qingtong had helped him to this point. All right. Chen Tong sneered. Then I'll be waiting for you. The other party's tone was really arrogant. Unfortunately, no matter what she said, he wouldn't take back his words. He was waiting to see how they would deal with this. Chen Tong left with his own people. In the room, the Grand Supreme Dean looked at Luo Qingtong and frowned. Little child, you're boasting like this. What if something unexpected happens? He looked worried, not because he was worried that Luo Qingtong couldn't cure by Suqing, but because he was afraid that an accident would implicate Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianming. You're tuning in to the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.